It's time for another lap around the track with all the latest in motorsports interviews. Sometimes we get bent feelings, but we can't wait for the Bent Fender Podcast with your hosts, Nathan Conway and Wes Llewellyn.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Bent Fender Podcast. I'm Nathan Pork Chop Conway, driving number 40 stock car around here locally, and with me, as always, is Wes, the tugboat Llewellyn. And that'll be important today, buddy, and I'll explain why here in just a minute. But
well, it also
how you been, buddy?
It plays on my WWF nostalgia.
Yeah, I guess the old tugboat.
Yeah.
Well, then what did he become? Typhoon?
Yes, he was Typhoon.
Yeah, and then Earthquake was always Earthquake, right?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. The natural disasters.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, buddy, tugboat is important today because we're interviewing another friend of mine. You know,
Okay.
Capatain Chris Anderson.
Capatain Chris.
Yeah, has been racing a long time, man, and around the dirt tracks, and he's got a lot of good stories. Me and Chris go way back, and it's somebody who, you know, he approached us, and we had, you know, reconnected after several years of kind of being apart from each other just due to life things. You know, it's just the way it goes, and you know, being able to reconnect with Chris and somebody who, you know, helped me out a lot in my early, you know, stages of my career. It's going to be pretty cool to have him on the show. So, I mean...
any friend of yours is a podcast guest of mine.
That is true. But hopefully, after the show, 2.5 hours from now, 3 hours, 5 hours, whatever it takes, he'll end up being a friend of yours, too.
I hope so.
So
I have not been let down with that yet.
Again, me and Chris go back a long way, and you know, and that's a cool deal to have him on my podcast and him supporting it. And you know, he's been nothing but a champion for it. You know, when I champion Ford, no, that's not it. Mm-mm. Champion for it. Mm-hmm. Whenever I talk to Champion Ford is not a sponsor of our podcast, but we'd love them to do it.
Absolutely.
But, we need to talk to the Brewbakers about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, anyway, but Chris has been a champion for it, you know, and he's like, man, you know, what you guys are doing is something that's really cool, and you guys are laying down, you know, a lot of these stories and careers of these people, and it's just kind of the same thing that I told him was that, you know, it was one of those things where it's important for him too, and what I wanted to do was, and kind of the way I laid it out to him is like, you know, you've got grandkids, Chris, and you know, how cool would it be, you know, 25 years from now, somebody digs this thing up. Who knows if we'll all still be around, you know. And they'll dig this thing up, and, you know, it'd be fun to listen to his stories and listen to, you know, to Papaw there or whatever, you know, they call him. So,
yeah.
You know, that's going to be a pretty cool deal for us.
I think so.
Well, another cool deal I wanted to talk about, man, is, you know, what we did this past weekend. Not any racing for us, obviously, but, you know, got to go out to the Soapbox Derby Rally.
We did.
There at the Owensboro Gravity Track is what they actually call it. And, man, we got to meet all those kids and several world champions and several local champions. I mean, it was a pretty cool deal.
I've been talking about it since we did that event, and it's just a pretty cool thing to think about how much Soapbox Derby has changed over the years and how much it's the same as, for all intent and purpose, as circle track racing. So, you know, it's still competitive. It's still, you know, walking through the pits, just felt that had that same vibe. And it's just a really cool thing how we are helping to build the racing community in this area, regardless of the sport.
Well, the sport, but you know, when we classify a sport, I classify, and we do talk a lot about motor sports.
Right.
You know, I guess if you wanted to say gravity as a motor, then absolutely. But I think on the surface of it, it's racing.
Right. And yeah, that's where I'm getting with it. And you love racing.
I do.
I'm learning to love racing, and I like racing a whole lot. You know,
you learn to hate it too.
Well, I don't think that my passion for racing is equal to yours, but we do this because this is something that we enjoy doing. We're not trying to do this to further an agenda, aside from to tell the stories that need to be told in this area.
Yeah.
We don't have a personal stake in this. You know,
we do. In our product, and what we're passionate about, we do have a personal stake in that,
for sure.
But you know, gain wise,
I don't draw a paycheck from this.
No, and I don't either.
We spend a ton of our time putting this together every week, and it's time that we love spending. We enjoy each other's company. We enjoy the company of our guests. We enjoy being part of this. and we want this to be successful, and we want it to grow,
Yeah.
so that way we can continue to tell these stories. And there are people that we are bringing into our world as partners, as colleagues.
Yeah.
You know, Blake Smith, we've been doing a lot more work with him.
Yeah.
You know, we are equivalent in the media world, I feel, with Blake Smith.
Yeah,
same-
and that's not taking him back a step or anything, because Blake is way more established than we are, but quickly gaining our legs on that front,
we're trying,
establishing ourselves, and I think a lot more people are noticing it, and some people noticing it too much, apparently. So,
Yeah.
But the thing of it is you know, we're there to support Blake and his show, and Blake does the same thing to us. And you know, been a guest on our show, we've been a guest on his show many times. And you know, that's the thing. We try to steer people his way. He tries to, you know, float some people our way, and I think that's how it works. And you know, Owensboro Davis County Motorsports Media, as we're just kind of toying with, you know, you know, we're not professionals. We try to act professionally. That's our goal.
Well, it's, you know,
and I think it's important.
At Ben Hawes, you know, we did our interviews, and Blake stepped up to do interviews for, you know, RMPH, and I was like, use my equipment, you know.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with using your phone, but my equipment, that's sole purpose
is to record interviews, you know. And
you know, please use my equipment.
And obviously, I mean, it's nothing. I wouldn't say nothing, because I don't know. I don't do it, but it's nothing, I guess, for you to just take that audio and you can send it straight to him, and he can do the same thing as he would have to do downloading it from his phone,
absolutely.
right? So, you know, that's the thing, and that's what we wanted him to do, and not to just be like boast our equipment, but you know, if he's there and it's available to him, why not use it?
Sure.
And he agreed. He absolutely agreed very, very quickly, and he said, no, that's perfect. Yes, if y'all let me do it, yeah, absolutely.
And I hope that he gets out of those recordings what he needs to, you know, justify, you know, maybe a purchase for himself, because, you know, he travels a lot more than we do to bigger events, and, you know, it would be cool for him to step into an interview with a Jeremy Mayfield or a Chase Elliott, or, you know,
with a professional task cam that you see these guys go all over the country with, and that'd be cool.
Now I know he probably wouldn't be able to form coherent words with Chase there.
Yeah, with Chase Elliott, I know.
But you know,
yeah,
he would be professional nonetheless.
I think. Yeah, I think Blake would probably be like a schoolboy, you know. But anyway, so that's our thing, you know. Again, getting back to talking about the Soapbox Derby rally. But we get to go. We did it. We did an episode of the Quick Six.
We did.
You know, if you guys missed that episode, please go back and listen to it. It will come out.
Well,
it would have already come out.
Listening to this, you have already.
It would have already come out. So 2 days prior. So. You know, that'd be a great thing. Go back and listen to that. Those kids are cool, man. They really are, and they love it. And if you don't find the same passion there that you would find at Windy Hollow Speedway or Cedar Ridge Speedway, or go up to, you know, any track, just any track USA, if you don't feel that you find the same enthusiasm and, you know, love for what they do as anybody else involved in racing, you're missing the point, because they do, you know. And again, they're kids, you know, and they're not professionals. They act very, very professionally.
They do.
I think some of them are really gaining their legs. We did learn about a lot of places, and we won't get into too much of it, because you can go back and listen to the episode of the Quick Six. But you know, learned that the World Finals, or, you know, I think that's Monster Jam, but the World Championship is in Akron, Ohio. Very, very big deal. But what we got was a lot of people talking very, very highly of Owensboro and the Kentucky area of Soapbox as being, you know, very, very important to their sport.
No, agreed. And
that made me feel good.
Listening to and I apologize, I don't remember the gentleman from the Lions Club. I don't remember his name. But, you know, when he was talking about the fact that we had 3 world champions at this event, and just what that means for Owensboro, you know, and the fact that we do have a ton of champions that come out of Owensboro or this area, you know, I think that speaks volumes. So it was a good time. We had a you know, we again covered a different aspect of racing. We brought something new to the table because we want to celebrate everything, you know. And up until now, my catchphrase has been, if it's got wheels and a motor, we celebrate it. But we learned this weekend you don't necessarily have to have a motor. If you have wheels and passion, then we'll celebrate it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, is it doesn't necessarily have to have wheels and motor. You're right, and it doesn't necessarily have to be motor sports. It can be racing, all the same. Whether it's
Right.
bicycles, I mean, it's human powered, whatever.
Hydroplanes.
Yes, regattas, whatever you want to call them.
Yep.
They were the old regattas, but now they are hydroplanes and hydrofoils, if you want to call them that. It's a cool deal. And I think that branching out into something like that, and Blake actually kind of spurred us on to that, he was like, you guys are going to go, I'm going to go, let's go out there and check it out. And,
Right.
and we did. It was a little awkward going in at first because obviously we didn't really know anybody except for their social media guy, which Blake introduced us to, and
Sure.
and he kind of walked around and introduced us to some of the kids and got some great interviews. Beautiful cars. I mean, painted pretty, sponsors and all this stuff, just like any race car you would see. Drag, circle track, whatever. And it was cool. It's a cool deal.
Agreed. I liked it a lot. And
Different classes. Professionally built chassis, I guess, if you want to call it that. Super serious on making sure their axles are straight and this and that. I mean, it all has to go together, and not a whole lot of moving parts, but a whole lot goes into it.
sure.
So, cool. It's a cool deal.
I liked it. I liked it a lot. So, we are going to continue to branch out into different areas of racing, drag racing, and we've said it before, if we can get them on the show, we're going to get them on the show and we're going to interview them.
And if you guys got people in mind, please tell us and tell us how we can get a hold of them, because here's the thing, 9 times out of 10, we're scrambling on how to get in touch with these people, because we have to find their numbers, or we have to try to go through Facebook, or we have to go through somebody that knows them. And if you guys know them and can get us in contact, talk with them a little bit, it certainly helps.
And when it's a form of racing that we aren't in all the time, like drag racing,
Yes.
we might not necessarily know the people like you guys do.
Yeah.
So just let us know, and we'll knock them out.
And that's the thing is, we've talked about this, and we've yet to break into certain genres of things like motocross and drag racing. They're coming. Again, we got to get in contact with the people. So so help us out. I mean, I'm begging. I'll beg you. Okay.
And you guys got to get in contact with us.
Yeah. So and that's easy to do.
How can they do that?
Well, I guess it's time to give them the rundown. Now, you can find us on Facebook, Conway Racing Team, also the Bent Fender Podcast. You can find us on Twitter at Conway Race Team, Instagram Conway Racing, ConwayRacingTeam.com, and the BentFenderPodcast.com. If you are trying to find us on social media places that you download podcasts, you can find us on iTunes, Google Play, Podcast Addict, Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. It's a big deal, and you can find it anywhere. We've carpet bombed it. We made it easy for you.
Yep.
And if you're having problems, if you're listening to this through your buddy's phone or somebody's speaker, and you need to try to get a hold of us, then do that, and we can get you set up on your phone and maybe make life a little bit easier for you, and be able to get that done. And sponsor wise, we're big on sponsors here.
We are.
And we were big with those kids. That's one of the things that we tried to, and some of them don't have sponsors, but some of them do. And and the cars that do, of course, real big down the sides of them, and
Yep.
It's different than maybe some of our race cars, but it's pretty cool. Our sponsors here: Mach 5 Race Cars, Parts and Carts, Fairview IT Management, Martin's Towing and Recovery, Chad's Barbershop, Glenstone Construction, Slingshot Media, Fairview IT Management, again, for letting us use their space here. Gabriel Kirtley has been gracious enough to do that. It's not Field Trip Friday.
Yep.
We need to take another field trip at some point.
We should.
Also, Red Star Graphics, go see them. Is Slingshot Media, and they go hand in hand. So if you need ads designed, you need logos designed, Red Star Graphics, and that would be none other than the Tugboat himself to do that. And so it's a pretty cool deal. Podcast sponsors here: Lori Kimball Home Realty, Willie's Carburetor and Dyno Shop, High Octane Racewear Graphics, and Apparel. So pretty good list of sponsors. Still too short for my taste. I think we could definitely get some more, and we welcome some more onto the show. It's affordable, and it would be a good deal. Now, obviously, we mentioned before Blake Smith, Regional Motorsports Power Hour every Monday night during their racing season at Maloney's in Owensboro. 25% off any specialty pizza. It starts at 7 p.m. Runs through 8:30. Call early to get your seat, to get on the list. It's a good deal. You can find them 102.7 ESPN The Game, 94.7 WBIO simulcast on all the Cromwell stations. So it's a good deal. Get down there, check them out, have a great time. It's fun every week we go.
I think so. I have a good time.
You know.
Well, I think I heard a large engine in the parking lot.
I did.
It was dually like.
It was. So I guess we've figured out all the stuff we needed to do before. Now we need to not take up any more time from our guests. So we're going to throw it to the first commercial break, and we'll be back on the other side with Captain Chris Anderson.
Are you looking for a hometown barbershop specializing in the best haircuts in Western Kentucky? Master Barber Chad Thompson has everything you need to keep you looking sharp for not only your special occasions, but for every day as well. Offering a line of haircut products to take care of your hair between cuts. Walk-ins are welcome, and you're always going to find friends and neighbors at Chad's. You can find Chad at 10655 Highway 764 in Whitesville, Kentucky, or you can give him a call at 270-903-8183.
And we're back from the break, and just like I told you, it's a person that was right around the early time of my career that helped me out. A buddy of mine, Captain Chris Anderson. Chris, welcome to the Bent Fender Podcast, buddy, and appreciate you coming on and tell us a little bit about yourself.
I appreciate it. I always wanted to do something like this, but never had an opportunity, so, it's kind of a new deal for me, but what do you want to know?
Well, I'll tell you what, the best thing to do is the way we always do it. Let's start from the beginning, man. How'd you get into the sport? How'd you start coming around the racetracks and doing the things that got you to where you are today?
That's an easy question to answer right there. That's my granddad, Tom West. I've been going to dirt tracks ever since I can hold on to his britches leg, basically. So about 5, 6 years old, I've been going to dirt tracks with him to Clarksville, Glasgow, Tri-State. It didn't matter. On the weekends, I was on his britches leg just with him the whole time, the whole weekend.
All right.
And then Uncle Harold was racing, and Tinker was racing, Tinker Bills, and Pee Wee Hancock, Wayne Coakley.
He's throwing out the names here.
Jerry Inman. I mean, Granddad had his hands in all them cars. So every time we raced, we was gone with him, So,
yeah.
Or I was anyway. Mom and them didn't go that much, but we was talking about today. I was telling Mom what we was fixing to do tonight, and she said, "I got a story to tell you." And she said, "You remember?" I think she said we went down to Tennessee. I said, "Down Glasgow?" And she said, "Yeah." She said, "Those cars going around the track, and your granddad looked at you and said, 'You think you can do that one day, boy?' And I said, 'Yes, sir, I can.'" And now here, God, that's been 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Shoot, I'm getting old.
Yeah, it's age does creep up on you, and years go faster. Dad always told me that the older you get, the shorter the year gets. The year's only 6 months long. I mean, when you think about it, I mean, it's no time at all, and you go through a year anymore.
Oh yeah, because I'm gone 6 months out of the year too on the river. I've been doing that for 28 years.
Right.
So one of these days I win the lottery and I can quit and come home and stay home.
Yeah, you've always been well, not always been, but have been for quite a long time. That's why everybody calls you Captain Chris Anderson, is tugboat captain on the river boats, and that's we always name Wes a nickname every time we open a show. I always try to come up with a nickname, and today his nickname was Tugboat. So
was it Tugboat?
So yeah, so we always throw a little something on him, but Chris, I want you to tell me, how did you get started? Like, I guess when you progressed, you went to the races a lot, and your granddad was helping on those cars. But when did you start getting it in the blood to ready to want to start trying to take it on your own?
Oh God, I never got it out of my blood. I think I was born with dirt, clay in my blood when I was born. I've always wanted to. I raced. When I was a kid, I had 3-wheelers and I had to go fast as I possibly could. I had go-karts. I had to go as fast as I could. Mini bikes. It didn't matter what I had. I thought in my head I was racing on a dirt track.
Yeah.
Growing up. Back in early '90, I bought my first car for $800, and I started racing. And I haven't quit since. You know what I'm saying? I've helped. Well, even before I started racing, I was helping Junior Bays, Terry Whitmer, the Island boys, you know,
Yeah.
I was helping them quite a bit, you know. Oh Lord, Chris. Anyway, another boy from Island named Chris. I helped him quite a bit. I can't think of his last name. Right? Chris Johnson.
There you go.
There you go, Chris Johnson. So I hung around a bunch in Island and stuff, and then I progressed, got out of it. Money got tight. Second kid come around,
Oh, yeah.
got out of it. Still went, but just didn't race.
Mhm.
And then I started on the river. Things got better. Bought me another one. Started again. I think the next time I bought one, I bought an E-Mod.
I remember those.
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Yep, and had fun with the E-Mod.
Yeah.
And then I seen that class was dying out quick before it even got started good. It was dying out quick.
Yeah.
So I sold it and went back to a full frame car, traded it off, and we got a full frame car. I've been racing full frame cars ever since. So,
Right.
but it's one of them deals where it's never left me.
Mhm.
I might have left it for a while, but it's never left me.
Right.
It's just part of me, like my towboat. So it's just part of life to me. You know,
Oh, heck yeah. I mean, and I feel the same way. You know, it's one of those things where it can cause you greatest pain or best joy in your life sometimes, and it goes hand in hand. But
oh, blood, sweat, and tears, baby. I'm telling you, and you know, and trying to figure everything out nowadays, things have changed. We'll talk about that, you know, later. But you know, things have changed, and but it's just so much joy.
yeah.
You know, and now that I've got kids old enough, now I got grandkids that go to, you know, that brings a big joy to me watching them grandkids.
Oh yeah.
Every time I fire that race car up at the house working on it, and one of my granddaughters are up, my mom and dad's, ooh, that's Papa's fast car. Papa's fast car's running.
Well, I mean, you know, that's cool that they're already, you know, taking an interest in it and want to, you know, hopefully one day get some of them behind the wheel.
Well, that's always a possibility, you know.
Depending on what they want to do.
Well, you know, my stepson Greg, we put him in a car. We started him out in a mini stock. I bought Owens' his old mini stock and put Greg in there. We had a ball doing that, you know, and moved him up. Got him a Neon. He had a ball doing that. Then moved it up, traded the Neon off for Boogie Cook's old championship car and put him in a cruiser car
That's a
for a
good
while.
car.
You know, so, and then I got back into it. Then we started racing side by side, you know, same time. And it's very family oriented to me.
Yeah, yeah.
It's something that the family can do, have fun, don't cost a lot, and enjoy, you know.
Well, that's the main thing. You
Yeah,
know what I
the main
mean? Is
thing
for it to be fun.
Yeah, it's be fun and a family thing, you know, so.
Well, I want you to take me back, and when you're going to make this first purchase, and we always like to dig a little deeper into stories. And when you're making your first purchase, you bought this race car for $800. Now, you've been around the sport, and you probably learned a thing or two, just like a lot of guys start out what we call stroking, you know, and fixing, you know, if that's sweeping the floor or cleaning the mud off, tightening lug nuts, you know, whatever it is. That's important because you learn things that way.
Right.
But so you got a knowledge. You know, you've been around the racetrack. But tell us about getting that car and getting it ready, and you know, getting ready to go to the racetrack for that first time with your own car.
The anticipation was great. I just tell you, because I didn't sleep none the night before. I was so ready to get in one. Didn't know what I was getting myself into, but I got into it. You know, I think we tore the car up the first night when somebody hit me in the side, broke my seat, and I was laying on the damn floorboard still driving the car, trying to look over the dash. You know, I kind of feel your pain on being short, you know, looking over the dash and driving.
Right.
So,
Right.
But
It was unintentional for you, though.
Yeah, but anyway, it was a lot of fun, and I was really hooked after that. I was hooked before with my granddad, and it feels like I still carry my granddad with me, still racing, you know, because he's been to the Pontiac Silverdome racing with Jerry Inman. He's been to Mississippi. He's been in Tennessee. He went everywhere.
Right.
And you never knew what he's going to bring home. I remember as a kid, Wayne Coakley driving for him, and Jasper engine semis would show up and load Jasper engines, but Wayne Coakley always had, you know, if it wasn't going to go, it's going to blow.
Yeah.
And that was always Wayne's motto. If it don't go, it's going to blow.
Yeah.
And he blew up a lot of engines that way too. But
Yeah.
the anticipation of my first time, I was on cloud nine, and the only thing that I can comprehend that to being like was like having my first child or having my kids.
Right.
That'd be the only, and now my grandkids. So that's the only thing I can come close to comparing to what my first night was out in that race car.
Feeling, you know, just scared, kind of excited, you know.
Oh, yeah.
It goes hand in hand.
All the adrenaline rush was nothing but great.
Well, you know, that was pretty cool, man, because I think that a lot of guys and ladies, you know, whoever's racing can identify with that, because, you know, I still get nervous myself when I go out there to race these days, and, you know, it's one thing once you get on the track, it's different, but that stage lane, getting ready, you know, you're getting pumped up, getting ready to go, and, you know, that I think that's something that never leaves you. It should never leave you, because I think that's how you know that it's fun.
Well, yeah, it's just like I said, the night before the races, we had the car over at Terry Whitmer's house, and we took off stuff, we added stuff. Terry said, do this, do that, you know, which Terry raced Blackie for Junior Bays for years.
Right.
And he knew that me and Terry go way back, and I knew I could trust what he had to say.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't have the financial reasons or nothing like that to keep on going the way he wanted it to go, but it was still fun.
Right.
And then, of course, down the line, you still pick up stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I learned the stuff, like I said, helping Junior Bays back in the early 90s on his street stock car.
Right.
I learned a bunch by watching him. I learned a bunch by watching Gail Lamb. You know, unfortunately, Wayne got taken away early in my life, and my granddad got taken away. I always wondered what my life would have been like if my granddad was still alive.
All right.
Would I be towboating, or would I be racing and farming?
Yeah.
And I say about 99% of that I'll be racing and farming.
Well.
So, but yeah, it's addictive.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
It's worse than any drug or any alcohol could be. It's addictive.
But, you know, that's the thing, though, is if you think about it that way, and we always do talk about it, racing is a drug, and it is very addictive, but you can liken that to it's a lot better for people to get into that than to get into drugs and alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously, you know.
Yeah.
It will take a lot of money.
It's just like withdrawals for 4 or 5 months at the end of the year. You got withdrawals, and then you start looking forward to, after the first year, you start, here we're getting close, and you start getting anxious, and you get that first time, it's like,
Just feels good. Get that fix again.
This first time you start your car and smell the racing fuel, it's like, yeah, you know.
Well, I'm getting that now because I never could afford racing fuel in the past, man. I always had to run pump gas, but now I get that feeling now, you know.
Now times are different. You can't get much on pump gas.
Oh, yeah, I know it. But talk about that first season there. How many times you race that year? You know, you said you got the car tore up a little bit that first night, but did you race just a few times that year? Or did you guys try to go a full season? Or?
Well, I tried to go. I didn't go a full season because I was already on towboat by then.
Yeah.
So, and it makes it hard to race. But every time the track was open, my car went.
Yeah.
I didn't have no shop. I was working outside underneath the shade tree.
We've done that together.
Oh yeah, but it's just you just do what you got to do and get it ready and go. You know, and then so that's what I did. You know, because I loved it so much, and it gave me something to do with my kids and people in my life back then. You know, but it was every I think, heck, I can remember Wendy Holly used to have the pits on the inside of the track.
Yeah, that was a little bit before my time, but yes, they did do that. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and I remember sitting on the tar rack of my granddad's wedge bed truck, watching Uncle Harold race, and me sitting up there eating hot dogs and hamburgers and popcorn, just watching the race. Never leave the tar rack.
That's how you got so daggum big.
Oh yeah.
You lost a lot of weight since then, but
yeah,
you got a little more fit.
At my biggest, I was almost 400 pounds.
Should have cut down them cheeseburgers and hot dogs, man. Them's was addictive. No, I'm just funny.
Well, but now I'm down to 265.
There you go. So little less left side weight, you know. Helps out a little bit.
Little left. Now I can put some wedge in the right rear.
That's right. That's right. You got to look at it as an advantage. You know, that's the way I do it.
Yeah.
So what class did you start out at? You know, when you bought that first car? I mean, back then, I mean, you probably was riding around Detroit Iron Bomb or something like that.
No, it wasn't Poor Boys then. It was Detroit Irons. It was Detroit Irons back in them days. And then you went to Poor Boys, and then it went to
Even Poorer Boys.
Even Poorer Boys. Then it went to the I think it was Pure Stock. Then it went to Cruisers. You know,
right.
So.
Right.
But basically, these cars nowadays, we're pure stock again, almost close to street stock.
Oh, yeah. In the cruiser class especially.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah, cruiser class, way gone. But, you know.
Well, we'll definitely talk about some of the ebbs and flows of racing here in just a few minutes. But so you come out in the old Detroit Iron class, and for anybody that doesn't remember the old Detroit Iron class, I mean, that was a staple around here for a long, long time, especially that and, you know, what people would think of bomber cars these days. I mean, even bombers back then, that's your old pure stock class. I mean, guys run those big tires and racing stuff, and I mean, it was a big deal.
But the Detroit Irons back then, these bombers and cruisers and even the rusty back then, we wasn't allowed bars through the firewall. You just had your 4-point cage inside and your door bars, and that was it.
Right.
And your engine better be ugly as shit. Excuse my language,
but okay.
But it should have grease, be covered in grease and oil, and you better not have no clean parts on it at all.
Yeah, because if somebody they know you was messing with it then,
right? And then back then, they would actually check, you know, no locks rear ends, and I mean, it's
so pretty much stock cars.
Yeah, that's pretty much knock the windows out, put a 4-port, and go. And that's pretty much what it was.
Well, it's crazy how that, you know, you think about. And this, you know, we think about, well, it's not that far away. You know, hell, that's 30 years ago now. 30, almost, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, we talked about the 90s. A lot of people just still talk about the 90s like it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel that way. It's like, man, it was back in the 90s. That was just a couple years ago. I mean, we're almost, you know, way past that now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so racing has come a long way, and good or bad, it's come a long way. But, you know, back then, tell us about racing in that Detroit Iron class and how, you know, I know it used to be huge car counts probably, and several people racing. Oh,
I mean, back in them days, they used to have Conti races just for people to make the 22-car field for the feature. We had to have Conti races with like 10, 12 cars in it. Top 2 went on to the main feature. So you're looking at close to 30 cars in Detroit Irons alone back in the day.
Yeah.
And now, you know, and then all the classes had close to 15, 20 cars in the classes. But it's went away.
Yeah.
But with, like I said, we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, definitely. There's reasons why, and maybe there's reasons why it's coming back too. So after you run this class for the first year or so, I mean, do you stay there?
Yeah.
Did you start at Windy Hollow Speedway, right?
Yeah.
That's where you started.
And I stayed there, and then I run Mac Henry.
Right.
Back in the heyday of Mac Henry.
Now, was it half mile then, or was it 3/8 mile?
It was a half mile then.
Was it a half mile?
Yeah.
That's when it was real fast.
Mm-hmm. And then we went to. That's back when Morton's Gap opened up too, and I run Morton's Gap against some good names. Lynn Swan.
Mm-hmm. Not the football player.
No, that's what S1.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I run against a lot of good people back then too, and had a lot of good times at Morton's Gap. Done a lot of good at Morton's Gap. Seemed like the car liked the long straightaways and tight turns more than it did the D-shaped or the half mile.
Something like a Nebo would be, you know.
Right. And then Mac Henry used to be my track though. High bank like that, you never had to lift. I mean, it was almost like a Bristol on dirt.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a heck of a bull ring. I remember going there one night and watching. Late models was there, and Gary Keelan come out of turn 3 and 4, went high, went off the wall, and rolled his car 15,000 times. It seemed like going down that hill. But the late model, it just looks like it was destroyed, and mainly sheet metal. But
them cars, I mean, you knock a rivet out of one of them things, it looks all tore up, but it really ain't.
Oh yeah,
really
well, I get that now because my car's sheet metal, and somebody thinks I got my car tore all the crap. And I just tell her
two little dents in it.
Yeah, it's just sheet metal. It's just pop rivets and sheet metal, so it ain't nothing bad.
Well, so whenever you run those classes, you run Detroit Iron and things like that. Now they have the same classes at McHenry back then. It's the same kind of Windy Hollow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was pretty much you can just take your car pretty much anywhere.
Right, and then I went to Pure Street after that. Back in the day.
That's a big jump.
Yeah, it was. But
well, what caused you to? I mean, how much success did you have in those early days? I mean, because most people, they got to run a little while, get their feet under them, and figure out what they're doing. But
I'm still looking for success. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you recently just won a heat race.
I won a heat race, and I've won one feature.
No win's a win.
I won one feature back in the High Banks days.
Oh, listen here. Well, we're not alone, buddy, because I won one feature, and you were there that night.
Yeah.
And you come up, and we were walking through the pits, come up, shook my hand, and called me feature winner. And that meant a ton to me, man, for you to do that.
But I think I've got one coming real close to me sometime, because I've got a piece that get the bugs worked out. She's a monster.
It can't be any worse than that red and blue car.
No.
Don't even talk about that.
No, we don't want to talk about the red blue car.
The paint never dried on it.
No, it never did.
That paint probably still ain't dry.
That's probably in the scrapyard
Yeah,
somewhere,
yeah,
still
probably.
dripping blue paint off of it.
Well, I remember a lot of your cars, looking from the old pictures and stuff like that. You always had the purple cars with the yellow window net, and you got into the orange for a little bit, and now you're into the black and white letters. But how was it back then? You always said, my cars was always purple. Got that yellow window net. Had to have a yellow window net. Man.
Yeah.
What all started that?
I've always liked purple. And me and Curtis have been arguing back and forth on who had purple first, me or him. I think he's older than me, so I think he might have had it older before I did. But but I've always liked purple cars. And the reason why it's black this year is because we ran out of time, and we didn't spend the money on a wrap or nothing like that. We just put the number on it and go. But we was running behind a few things. Motor was block was cracked on the motor, so we had to pull the motor out, get another motor. So the money went for the motor instead of
Looking pretty.
Yeah. Pretty don't win races.
No.
But yeah, my first car was gray. And believe it or not, the numbers on it was put on by a paint marker.
Paint marker.
Yep. And I put my granddad's number on it, T11, the first year I run. And then, God, I've had so many dang numbers. T11 first, number 90.
Right.
Then I run number 11 for a few years, and now I went to 0.
Right, 0.
Yeah.
For $0.
No,
You got left.
No, you got to start at the bottom, work your way up.
Oh,
So
what?
you're 0 when you start out.
There you go.
So
we got the story on the number now. Now, I was always around during the number 90 days. And, we had the window stickers and all that stuff. Of course, that truck's long gone now, too. But, that's kind of when I came around helping you. I guess it was, what about 2003 or 4, I think.
it was about that. About the time you flipped your first car after I told you not to, you had to lower the springs on it or you was going to flip it. And first night you went out with it, you flipped it. And I said, I told you so.
Yeah, y'all jinxed me like crazy.
No, it wasn't no jinx. We knew what. We've been there long enough. We knew what was
You
going to
did.
happen.
You did. And it was by happenstance, and I'll tell some of the story, and you can just expound on a little bit of it, but it was kind of by happenstance that things come together because, I knew you and you knew me, but we weren't in the same circles at the time. And car show, Town Square Mall, Home Depot, wasn't it?
Yes.
Or was it the mall?
Home
It's Home
Depot.
Depot. And right here in Owensboro, and I get my car off the trailer. We're driving it over to get it parked up, where all the show cars are. And I'll be daggum, it don't quit running halfway across the parking lot. And we all had to push it up into the thing. So I guess you come over and you got to talking and it wouldn't start. And we were looking at it and you're like, you know what? And it's meant a lot to me, man, back in the day too, and it still does. Is you're like, you know what? Hey, when the car show's over, load it up, bring it to my house because we wanted to go to rent Nebo at night anyway. So obviously, you being in Rumsey, on the way, and you extended a hand of gratitude and was like, bring it to my house, let's figure it out. Wasn't nothing but a coil and a module. You had one, we fixed it, started running, and back we went to Nebo at night and tore that thing all to pieces by flipping it. But doing a heck of a good job, man. It's running third, so I can't really be too mad about it.
No, you can't be too mad at it, but I told you lower that damn spring, but you wouldn't listen to me.
But instead of getting mad at me, I call you the next day. We take it to your house, drop it off, And by the time I woke up out of bed, you called me and you're like, "You gonna come up here and fix this thing?" I said, "Yeah, buddy, we're coming. You know, we're gonna get the clothes on." And you're like, "Well, I've got the whole front end fixed and welded back down. You got to straighten this hood out, and we just popped the roof out, and we'll be ready to go again." And you, by golly, you did. You fixed the whole daggum car. It didn't look terrible. I mean, it didn't look great, but it didn't look terrible. We run a whole
it
season.
looked like it'd been wrecked, but not as bad as it did that night before. But I know one dang thing: I never can get none of your cars short legs. Dang.
Yeah, you tried to move it, and you're like, "I don't know how you do this."
I couldn't even get in the. I got wedged in between the seat and the steering wheel. I couldn't even. I'm 6'3". Well,
and I'm 5'3".
I started to say pork chop. We won't talk about how short he is, but you know. But yeah, I tried to get her to move it. Nope, wasn't going to happen.
I think you ended up moving it with your truck or something, didn't you? You had to put it neutral or something. And you just pushed it around the yard in your truck.
Yeah. Yeah.
But man, that meant, talking about that meant a lot to me that you would, we didn't know each other at that well, and that was something. And I raced out of your garage for a long while, up until I got the old Bill Mormon car, and we won't talk about how that all fell apart. But just an incident at Windy Hollow one night, and we kind of went around, and we crossed paths again, man. And I've never, it's been good having you as a friend, man, and I feel like I can call you a friend.
No, I am your friend, but sometimes you need to raise your seat up where you can see it over top of the steering wheel.
You might win some races, but
you might win some.
Well, it's that way the air goes over top of me.
You look like Grandma Gertie down there, and you look between the steering wheel and the dash, and I'm like, raise your seat up, pork chop. Set on books or something.
Well, I have done that, and I've raced cars, in figure eight and stuff like that, sitting on pillows and wood blocks and everything else, trying to drive.
Yeah.
I never had your problem where I was too tall.
Sometimes that's a bad thing.
Well, Chris, we're going to go ahead and throw it to the first break. I'm going to come back on the other side and get in a little bit more of your racing careers. And, ever since when we got together and till now. Does that sound good to you?
Sounds wonderful to me.
All right, we'll be back in a second.
Whether you're buying or selling a home, you want to ensure your needs are met. Lori Kimball with Home Realty Incorporated is the realtor for you. In today's fast-paced society, it's important to have someone on your side that will give you the care and treatment you deserve. Lori wants to build a relationship with you, and it's her full-service commitment focusing on your family's wants and needs that sets her head and shoulders above the rest. You can contact Lori today at 270-315-1468. That's 270-315-1468. Or you can find her on the web at www.lorikimball.com. Call her today to unlock doors for your tomorrow by building a relationship with a realtor who's here for you.
And we're back from the break, still sitting here with Chris Anderson, buddy, and we were talking a little bit about your earlier racing career, but let's progress into I guess the mid to early 2000s, early to mid 2000s. I got it backwards, I think, but you guys you were kind of in the pure stock division then,
yeah.
And man, I guess that's when my car was in and out. I don't know if I was having motor problems, but I was going with you a lot, especially to Nebo and Windy Hollow, and man, we were having fun.
Always having all kind of fun. That's like we were just talking during the break there about Nebo 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning before we roll out, because we've been racing there all night long, and then the one night the fog rolls in, we're still racing in the fog. I'm like, somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I do, and you're right, because we went out there one night, and we were the first class up that night. Cruisers were. We get out on the track, and the track's covered in fog, and they want us to go out there and hot lap. So we hot lap enough to get the fog lifted, pull us on the back straightaway for the national anthem. And I'll be daggone, before the end of that song, it was a minute and something long, and by the time the song was over, the fog was on the track again. And they were like, well, I guess we got to start racing. And I don't know how we made it through.
Well, like you said, a couple laps, they blew it off anyway. But
yeah.
Those first couple of laps, I'm like, oh, God, this is going to be bad.
You couldn't see the flagman. You couldn't see the crowd. Nothing. I don't know how we did it. The lights, I guess, on the track was the only thing to save.
That's the only thing you can do is lights, because you got your timing marks where you are, and you see them lights. You know where you need to be and where you need to set up at. I'm surprised more cars didn't get tore it more than what it did, but it's good times.
Well, it was good times, man, and I do want to talk about Western Kentucky Speedway. It's one of the tracks, obviously not running right now. Hopefully, they are coming back, and they're going to run a few races this year. Hopefully, next year be another full season. But place has always been special to me. It's where I got my feature win, and I've always loved running at Nebo. It's kind of a driver's track, and talk about a little bit about why Western Kentucky Speedway was special to you too.
Well, for one, it's closer.
No, yeah, that's to Rumsey, yeah.
Yeah, it's close. But no, it's back there. It's a unique track.
It is.
1 and 2 are a little bit wider than 3 and 4, so you can set up in 1 and 2, but you got to drive through 3 and 4 because it's tighter.
Right.
The straightaways, you can just get up there and just let her go,
Yeah.
But also too, watching Gaby race, my cousin Gabriel, Birdie, Uncle Wink, being all of them there, and that was mainly our hometown track. Windy Hall is always going to be a hometown track because that's where I grew up.
Yeah.
Because no offense what I'm fixing to say, but I remember playing cards in the Dutch with Rooster when we were both kids.
Yeah.
And my granddad and her dad knew each other, so it's just one of them things. But Nebo's a very, like I said, it's a unique place, and I hate to see it go down. But years of neglect.
Yeah.
Years and years of neglect, and it just needs a lot of upkeep.
It does, and Nebo is a nice facility when it's cleaned up and everything. And it's a nice facility because it's easy to walk around. When you think about Windy Hollow, everything's real close. Mm-hmm. Cedar Ridge, everything's kind of hilly,
uphill,
right? Uphill or downhill, just mostly uphill. Yeah. I think the downhill's uphill.
Yeah, sometimes.
Sometimes, but then Nebo. It's a long way to the pits from the grandstands, but it's easy walk. It's all flat, and it's a nice facility whenever it's cleaned up. And I think that we had a lot of good nights there, and the racing was always really good. Bluegrass Bash has been held there, and a lot of big races, and they've had the World Outlaw late models come in. They've had Kenny Wallace's race there. A lot of history at Western Kentucky Speedway.
There's a lot of history at Western Kentucky Speedway. I'm not for sure off the top of my head what year it did open, but it's like I said, it's a unique place, and I hate to see it go down. And that's just like I might jump off subject here, but Kentucky Lake Speedway,
mm-hmm.
that was a beautiful facility.
Absolutely.
And I don't think my opinion, I don't think it's right for the state of Kentucky to come here and just take it away from them and say we're going to do this with it.
Right. Well, I think that's what a lot of we don't talk in politics a lot on this show, but I think that's kind of what politics will show. Kind of shows you what can happen when people play an agenda.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that it's a terrible thing that a place like that, and what's going on with Paducah right now because it's up in the air. But Kentucky Lake was beautiful. Grandstands top of the line. All their concessions were top of the line. It was not it was a dirt track, but you couldn't hardly tell it from the way the grandstands and the way everything was kept. It was beautiful.
Yeah, it was a nice place, and I see a lot of nice places going down. Abandoned Mac Henry.
Yeah. Look
how long ago we lost it.
Right.
Let's see, what was that other name track in Madisonville? You had Nebo, then you had the one in town, right there on Hanson Road.
Oh, heck, that was probably for me, man.
It probably was, but you had two tracks in Madisonville. You had Nebo, then you had the one down there in town, right off Hanson Road, right there across McDonald's up in that area somewhere. I never went, but I've always heard about it.
Yeah.
But Nebo's just a special place.
It was.
It is. I won a heat race there. Me and good God, his name's right on top of the tip of my tongue. Good. Who drives the 182?
Randall Sweeney.
Sweeney's nephew.
Yeah.
Was racing EMOS at the time, and we come. They couldn't tell who won. They had to stop and I got the heat race win. They said we was that close, coming out turn 4, leaning on each other. But that's one of my first heat wins, So yeah, it's a very special place. It's a beautiful. Like I said, when it's done right, it's a beautiful place.
Right, and we've seen a lot of crazy things happen there, and we've seen a lot of really, really close races and good racing there. Western Kentucky Speedway is different than the big wide D-shaped oval at Windy Hollow Speedway, and then Cedar Ridge is high banked, and it's just it's an oval, and with Western Kentucky Speedway,
it's more of a paperclip.
Right, it is, and you could liken it, I guess, to a Martinsville or something like that. Really tight turns, and it's a momentum track. You got to have a lot of motor, a lot of torque to pull up off the bottom. So the top's where you want to be. If you go up too far,
not on your top.
That's right, not on your top. You're right. But hey, you tried to knock the guardrail down one night.
Well, I did. I think I moved it about 2 inches.
That damn guardrail, man, when you got into it, won't let you go.
No,
it
won't.
will not let you go.
Nope. That's about like the night we was over there running the enduro race, and I was driving John Shepherd, the A30 car. I could have won that race. That still makes me mad. I should have won that race. But anyway, going down the back stretch, the old boy clips me. I never let off the gas. I'm wide open, spin around, hit the wall on the back stretch, spin completely around, never let off, and never lose a spot. It's on Google somewheres for me hitting that wall. They said I hit the wall so hard it shook the pit grandstands.
Wow.
And I never lost a spot.
Wow.
But that's another story for another day, because I should have won that race. I should have, but the guardrail got me on two sides.
Well, I should have won 200 of them, but by golly, I didn't.
No, I was actually leading that one. And the lap car passed me, and I thought, was he behind me, or am I ahead of him, or playing enduro, you don't know who's ahead or not. And then I started driving harder, and guess what happened? I drove harder. I just drove out turn 2, straight 2, right at the guardrail, right up top of the guardrail. I went and cut 2 tires down, and my tire changers wasn't around nowheres, and so
he's off drinking the Coca-Cola.
I don't know what they was doing back then, but that cost us $500 that night.
Yeah.
And then a toggle switch cost me $500 one night at High Banks in my E-Mod. Little things like that just bite you on the butt every day.
Well, I tell you what, let's get back into the E-Mod stuff real quick before we talk about High Banks, because I want to specifically talk about that track, because it's not something that a lot of people have talked about on here. But how did you progress into an E-Mod? What got you interested in the old E-Mod class? Now, a lot of people might not remember. We've got UMP Oatmeal Modifieds, but we used to have what's called an E-Mod or an Economy Modified, or what a lot of places in the regions now would call a B-Mod.
Yeah.
It could be at one point it started out as pin motors, crate motors at one point.
Or shop motors.
Or shop motor, but it could only be certain cubic inches. I think 355 was as big as you could go. Had to run on DOT tires, but you could run pretty much everything a modified ran.
Well, except for on
shock-wise.
Shop motor, you had to run a 3-speed.
Oh.
Crate motor, you can run the Falcon or the Burren or one of the race. Yeah.
So, again, it was to give people the feel of a modified, but to do it in an economical way. And politics and money got into it, because you know what killed the class. But so what got you interested in that? Because, that was, at one point it did get quite big for a few years, and a lot of people were going to junior horn, and, a ton of people.
Oh, God, those junior horn. He tore a lot of my stuff up with an E-Mod, but God love him, God rest him.
Yeah.
What got me into that was right time, right place. I just left Crimps and went to Marathon, and they cashed out my 401k, and then I get a phone call from Jimmy Rice and Buddy Fannin where they're selling their E-Mod.
Right.
I said, what do you want for it, turnkey? They tell me what they want for it. Like I said, right place, right time, right money. I get home off the boat for 30 days, and I got an E-Mod sitting in my shop.
Yeah, you did.
Cash paid for, ready to go.
I think you were like, come up here, I want to show you something.
Yeah.
And there it was sitting here. I was like, really?
Yeah. And the first night we took it out, we won the quick 6 with it. Qualified third. First time I ever drove that car, qualified third at Windy Hollow. Won the quick 6. Butted heads with, he drives late model now. Oh, Lord. 44.
Oh, yeah. If you hadn't said his name, I know who you're talking about. He did drive a late model. He kind of lost track of him. We'll think of that here in a little while.
Yeah, we'll think about it here in a minute.
But I can see his face right now.
Little short, stocky guy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
His dad thought I tried to take him out, and I didn't. So it's just one.
So then you did anyway? No,
I didn't. I didn't touch him.
Didn't slate and slam him?
No.
You can't do that.
No.
But how? So tell me, was it just different racing those, or did it feel the same, or how did it feel? I've never driven a modified, obviously. So
no, it's nothing like it. Nothing like it. Just to pretty much stay open open the whole time around the track. And the car, the harder you run, the better the car works. Which back then my car was an 04 WT Harris half-leaf.
Half-leaf car.
Half-leaf car, and it loved a rough track. It didn't like Nebo very well because it was slick track, but it really did like a rough track. But it's a learning experience. Like I said, the harder you run, the better it liked it.
Right. Well, and that's the thing with Jimmy and Buddy. I mean, they had good stuff, and they did quite well. Buddy didn't do too bad in an E-mod, and running around, especially down in Nebo. Those guys had good equipment. So I mean, you did buy into some pretty decent stuff starting out. Yeah, especially with the old WT Harris chassis.
Yeah, especially with the hack motor sitting down in it too, power plant. So
that's true.
Yeah, that worked out good too. So
they never were short on horsepower.
No, but like I said, I got my first feature win ever in anything in that. It's a win, but there's only two of us there. Me and Jason Allgood. There's only two cars at High Banks, but a win's a win.
A win's a win. It doesn't matter.
It don't matter. I let him win the heat race, and I was filling the car out there, and then at the feature, I think I lapped him. But
hey, heat race didn't pay no money.
No, heat race didn't pay no money, but it was fun.
So I'd rather took the feature myself.
Yeah, but it's nothing like it. But now we got these cars nowadays. My new car, or my same old car that we updated, it's just about like driving an open wheel. You better be in it or she ain't going to do right, you know. But I got to thank Chad Boone for that. He's my setup man now. We worked out a deal over the winter, and he done some work to it and put his special touches on it. I don't ask, so I don't tell. So that way, if I don't know, I can't tell nothing.
Well, Chad, that's the thing, and especially when he now driving for Gail Lamb a lot of the time down at Cedar Ridge Speedway and different places. Chad was pretty tough in the old pure stock days, but when he came back out in street stock and running that beautiful car he had, that blue and red one, man. And
the one everybody said looked like a weed eater, pissed off weed eater.
It did, man. But that thing was fast.
Yes, it was.
Philip Oakley had the magic touch on that.
Oh yeah, and those spaghetti headers they had on that thing. I never seen so many headers in my life get twisted around like that. But I've caught wind. I hope he changes his mind. But I talked to my buddy Gale, and I think he's fixing to sell out.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So Captain Chris is getting ready to have him modified.
No. I definitely don't have the pockets for that. Love to, but no. So, God love him. Frankie was his right-hand man, Frankie Whitmer. He passed away a few days ago, and Gail said he just don't have the help like and I don't, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand. There's a lot of work doing that thing by yourself.
Oh, yeah. There's no shortage of work you can do to a modifier.
But like I told Gail, just don't get out of it because you've always been in it and you're a wholesome name, household name, Gail Lamb, and 1998 track champion at McHenry or 96, something like that.
Right.
So, he's always been out there, So I just hate to see him do anything.
Well, he has been. A lot of people have suggested Gale, and just haven't been able to get a chance to talk to him yet and see if he would actually come on and share some of those old stories about running at McHenry and different places. And I think a lot of people remember him. A lot of people still know him.
Yep.
And
that's like Junior Bates just sold all his stuff out.
Right.
He's done after 40 years.
Well, the kids was growing up and moving on and getting families and different things.
Like he told me, it's just one of them times. It's time to hang it up. He's got over 40 some feature wins and some track championships, and him and the boys pulling 10 to 12 hours a day in a semi. They coming home trying to work 2 or 3 hours on the car. Everybody's tired.
No, yeah, hard to do.
Because you have to do that nowadays to stay competitive.
Right.
Lucky for me, I'm home for 30 days.
Yep.
That's all I got to do. Unless I go back trip, make extra money to buy parts I need to
make it go faster.
Keep racing, yeah.
There's always a fine line there.
Yeah, there's a fine line. You gotta keep mamas happy too.
She ain't paying attention.
No, she ain't. She's in that phone.
She don't hear it. She'll hear this on Friday and she'll be like, wait a minute.
She still ain't paying attention since we're talking about her.
But one thing I do want to do is roll in, and you've already broached the subject a little bit. High Banks Speedway. I know, buddy, a lot of people thought High Banks was cool. I never went. myself personally, but I've heard a lot of stories, and a lot of people enjoyed it. I never would take my car over, but I never was off on Friday nights to go over there. I was always off on the weekends, and But tell us about racing out there at High Banks, and it was a great idea, and I will say that it was a great idea for somebody to create another track here in Davis County, right out there, well, technically Ohio County, I guess, but right out there off of Boston Laffoon Road, and
oversized go-kart tracks, all it was.
Well, it was, and it was a little hairy there to start with, but they started trying to put some work into it, man, and I drove by there several times looking at it. But a lot of people loved it. I mean, they really did. And again, it was a great idea.
Oh, yeah.
I just hate that it went away.
Well, I don't know what caused it to go away. But you put 10, 12 cars on that track, it got hairy quick, real quick. Because like I said, it was a...
Wasn't no elbow room.
No, it's kind of like almost an old Whitesville.
Yeah.
It's small, till they stretched it out. But, it's about like that one night we decided to go run asphalt because dirt track got run out. I'll never do that shit again.
No, listen.
Well, back then the cruisers had to run the dog leg.
Right. Right. I remember that.
Yeah, and I had so much speed going in, I couldn't stop. I just slid right through the dog leg, right through the grass, and I'm like, nope, I'm done. I'll pull off in the infield and watch the rest of the race. So, but no, High Banks, I can go into High Banks, come out turn 4, go down turn 1, let off just for a second, open it back up, set it up, and never have to lift until I get ready to go into 4. All the way down the back stretch, that car was cocked. I can go into 3 wide open and just set up for a second on turn 4 and just do it all over. That car, like I said, loved rough tracks.
Right.
WT was right on half-leaf cars, but on rough tracks. Like I said, didn't like smooth tracks, and you couldn't get no rougher in High Banks.
I bet you didn't have to worry about it over there.
No, but it was a fun track, and I had a ball. I've only run it 3 times before they closed it. In fact, I was leading the points when they closed it. So if y'all listen to this,
so technically you're the track champion.
I'm track champion over there, and I ain't got no jacket yet either. So
right. I remember Tree Monkey got a jacket in the E-Mod class over there, but by golly, we need to recreate that thing. We just need to get the jacket made and all that stuff, and we'll pick a date. Hey, we'll put 2018 on it. Who's going to know?
Well, I think that was back in 2008.
Yeah. It was. It was right around. I think it ran 8 and 9 or 7 and 8. It was at 8 and 9. 2008, 2009. It run one sort of full season and then one like partial season, then it was over.
Yeah, that was the partial season. I think it was 7 and 8.
7 and 8.
Yeah.
I remember when I had my car, that was the one I wanted Nebo in, and that's when one got destroyed at Nebo, by golly.
Yeah.
But, we, again, I never got to go over there, but a lot of people really loved it. Who went through the guardrail over? Was it Mike Boone?
Birdie did one night. He knocked the light pole down.
Yeah.
Over in the E-Mod. I'm trying to think who went through it might have been Mike Boone.
I think either he did or Chad did.
I know Brandon Thurman went through the guardrail one time.
I remember when they put that guardrail up, everybody talked about it, and they said you could walk up to the guardrail, walk up the bank, walk up to the guardrail, kick the guardrail, and it'd fall over the back of the bank. It wasn't even hardly down there.
Don't touch the guardrail.
It's there for looks.
Yeah, just for looks is all it is, insurance purposes.
Just run the cushion, man. Don't run the guardrail. But we'll talk about going over there and racing a little bit. I mean, a lot of the guys that raced, traveled down there on Friday night just to have somewhere to go. Yeah,
and because it used to be you can go on Friday nights, go back there behind Grandma's Kitchen, back there at Morton's Gap. Well, that closed down. And then they had the one track in Madisonville that was in town. It was on Friday night. It closed down. So you didn't have nowhere to really go on Friday night, Yeah. But Windy Hollow back in the day when I was a kid, that's where we went on Friday nights.
Right.
It run on Friday nights back in the day. I remember when turning 1 and 2 over where the staging is now, it used to be the swamp. If you went over there, you was in cattails and knee-deep water and stuff like that. But
cornfield off the back straightaways.
Yeah, cornfield off the back. I've seen the corn get knocked down several times.
Oh, yeah.
But you didn't have a whole lot. And then McHenry used to run on Friday nights. Everybody got away from Friday nights, but It was a very fun, unique track, that's for sure. And they ought to be committed, not committed, but commenced.
Yeah, they ought to be committed for trying to do it. No.
No, they ought to be,
Commended.
Commended. There you go. Thank you. For what they tried to do, for what they had.
Yeah.
Because that was a very unique. Nobody will ever have another track like that.
Well, that reminds me of something I want to talk about here in just a little bit, and we'll circle back to High Bank Speedway because along that vein, not necessarily that track in general, but that idea. I did want to ask you. I mean, obviously, stock car racing, dirt track especially, has been a big part of your life. Is there any other forms of motorsports you ever got interested in, like drag racing or motocross? I mean, you did run your mini bike around a little bit in the yard, but stuff like that. Did any of that stuff kind of interest you?
I got to give my Uncle Mitch Dotson, which is my dad's brother-in-law, kudos on that, because he got me interested in horsepower because he was a member of NHRA. Mm-hmm. He still loves running around these gassers and stuff. So, yeah, the drag races interested me quite a bit. Now, no offense, but I say, I'm talking about old school, run what you brung, not this time stuff where you beat yourself.
Yeah. Heads up
drag racing, just like you see on TV. Now that's what I get into. But it don't matter. Anything with dirt. I like NASCAR. I like dirt. I like monster trucks. Now, the only thing I really can't get into is I've tried the boat races. I can't get into the boat races or boat drags or nothing like that.
Oh, yeah.
We got a few of them down there, around where I live that do the boat.
More, yep.
Livermore and stuff. Well, that's coming up here pretty soon, I think.
You're on the green,
yep. But I never could get into that. But basically, it's mainly dirt.
Dirt's always been the thing, huh?
Dirt's always been the thing, yeah.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that, a lot of people will go back and forth, but some people will say, asphalt's my thing. It's not, I don't like dirt. It's
like I said,
nasty.
I tried asphalt one time. I swore to never go back and do it again.
Well, you didn't even get to run the roundy round track, man. You were going to have to get you going in circles instead of dog legs.
Well, now, I would like to. I'll save that story for later.
Okay, all right, save that story. Well, I tell you what, that's a good jumping off point since we talked about some of the tracks. We're going to go ahead and take another break. We're going to come back on the other side and maybe get into some favorite drivers and heroes.
I got a lot of them.
There we go. We'll be back in just a minute.
You're one of them, Port Chop.
Oh, listen to that. We'll be back.
Let's face it, we love racing. We need to keep those race machines in tip-top shape to stay competitive. That's why we rely on Mark V race cars and parts located at 2035 West 2nd Street in Owensboro, Kentucky. They specialize in stock cars, but you'll find all the parts you need for your racing go-karts as well. They are your go-to experts for parts, wheels, tires, fuel, and a wide variety of other items to keep you on the track. They have hundreds of parts in stock and can special order thousands of others. Give John Hayden a call at 270-240-5587.
And we're back from the break, still sitting here with Chris Anderson like it was going to change or something, but we're still sitting here with you. One thing we did broach into getting ready to come into this segment here was I want you to think back, from the time you started going to the races and to even now. I mean, it can be somebody current. But think about your favorite drivers, man, and think about all the people that your heroes and why they were special to you.
I got a lot of them, but my first hero was my granddad. Right. Tom West. He always will be my hero. Farmed, good granddad, good dad, loved racing, taught me everything I know. I've been working on the farm since I was like 8 years old, driving truck, following with seed beans behind me or flagging for the tractors. And then when I turned 10, he put me on my first tractor, big 30-40 or 40-30 open cab tractor, and I was driving tractor just like the adult farm hands was, a lot of sunburns, a lot of dry lips,
For sure.
He taught me a lot, and also too, he's not into racing. He's getting into racing a little bit with me now. That's my dad. My dad taught me my morals, and my mom taught me a lot as far as respect and morals, helping people, You know, even when they don't deserve it, I help.
Right.
You know, but my favorite driver has to be my uncle, Harold West, which is my granddad's son, only son.
Right.
He farmed and he raced back in the day. Love my uncle to death. He's always been my hero. But I had a bunch of them. I can't say just one because I had Pee Wee Hancock, I had Tinker Bills, I had Wayne Coakley, I had Jerry Inman back in the day.
Right.
The Mississippi Flash. You know, I love when Jerry come up. I found some pictures the other day of Jerry Inman and Jerry Mize and Dorman Mize and Paul Mize and even Marty Mize when he was younger, sitting in Mize's garage with the old D7 car, you know. So I had the privilege of growing up with a lot of heroes when I was younger. Going up older, Gail Lamb, Junior Bays, Terry Whitmer. You know, Terry could drive the heck of a car. And then nowadays, locally, I got to give it, you know, every driver out there now has got to be a hero. Not just one person, because it takes the whole group. And a lot of people I looked up to is not here no more.
Right.
Like your Ryan Peters, like your Fuzzy Davis, like your Junior Horn. Granted, me and Junior bunted more heads than we did anything else, you know, especially when he tried to monster truck my E-Mod that one night. But, you know, it's respect.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of respect nowadays as far as, so you can't really say who's your hero now. Because locally, it's everybody, because we all put in the effort to put on a good show for every track we go to, and we support the track.
Yeah.
Every track we go to.
And that's important, you know what I mean?
Yeah. But as far as professional, I got to give it up to Bloomquist. I like Bloomquist. As far as NASCAR, Kevin Harvick.
I'm all right with that.
I like Harvick now. Somebody else likes Jimmy Johnson, but we won't mention no names on who likes Jimmy Johnson. But
ain't nobody in here.
No, she ain't paying attention to us anyway. John Force, Courtney Force in drag racing. Trying to think. You got to give it up to your local guys too. Josh Harris. Mm-hmm. He could be, he's a hero because he does so much for the tracks and so much for the community. Gail Lamb back in the day, like I said, I don't know if I said him a while ago or not, but
he's worth saying again.
You just, I gotta give it up to these track promoters. They're the real heroes, keeping this stuff going. If it wasn't for them believing in us drivers and the what they believe in, we wouldn't have no place to do this, and this podcast wouldn't even exist because there's no racing around here.
Right.
So you got to give it up to your Jimmy Westerfields, your Richard Ashby. I don't know why I could keep up with Richard and whoever's trying to take over Nebo.
Yeah.
You got to give them credit, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have no place to do this on Saturday and Sunday nights and Friday nights, And like I said, we wouldn't even exist. We'd be talking about wrestling or go-karts or something, But
well, go-karts are, Josh Harris doing a pretty good job up there at Rockport Raceway.
Josh Tyler. No,
Towers, yeah. No, I don't think they're running modifieds around Rockport Raceway. Josh Tyler, he's a sponsor of this show, and we better get it right.
We could be because, that's almost like a high banks there.
Oh, yeah.
We could probably run some open wheels.
Why don't you take the cruiser car out there?
If you let me, I would.
I don't think he's going to let you.
But no, seriously, everybody, I got to commend anybody right now who's doing what they do, racing, spending the money we have to spend, getting there, doing it, putting up with the times, the changes and stuff. That's the heroes.
Yeah.
And the promoters who put the money back into the track, not trying to get rich, take their time, make sure the track's right, So there's your heroes.
Right.
So.
Well, it's one thing is what I've taken with all that list that you gave. And again, some of those guys before my time, obviously, but I know a lot of some of the later guys. It seems like that you're along the line of you like the guys who are aggressive, who like to get up on the wheel, who don't take no crap, and like to really put on a show. And that seems like the list of guys that you really focus in on.
Yeah, because that's me. I'll run you clean. I'll run you dirty if you want to run dirty, but, I'm going to run you clean.
Yeah.
I'm not going to bump you on purpose or nothing like that. If I bump you, something had to go wrong somewhere.
Yeah.
I hit a hole wrong or something.
Steering wheel,
Yeah.
whatever happened.
But that's not the way I race.
Right.
And I like good, hard, aggressive racing. And we've been seeing that at Windy Hollow here lately between Chris Bunch and Dockery.
Right.
That's good racing. I don't give a crap what anybody says. That's good, hard racing.
Right.
So, basically, yeah, But if I wanted to get real hard at it, I'd be a Kyle Busch fan,
Well, that's why you're a Harvick fan, though.
Yeah, well, basically,
Because you like winning more.
Well, no, it's not. It's not winning more. It's just he gets on that wheel. He can drive.
Yeah, he does. And you can't take anything away from Kyle Busch, especially, or Mark Truex Jr. I mean, you think about those big guys this year. Three guys have pretty much won 95% of the races. I mean, it's been a pretty cool deal.
Yeah, and I would like, I think personally, if people would show more interest, that we can get it back great the way it used to be. But it's going to take some people kicking in to help, and it's not just people, fans, and cars. It's the community all together, and it's not just a matter of Owensboro, Davis County. It's Ohio County. It's Hopkins County. Wherever you got a track, that's where it needs to kick into.
Well, before we get into that, because I want to know your thoughts on the whole process of that, but one thing I did want to go into is, we think about the sport as the way it is now, and if we're going to grow it, we've got to get more people into the sport, and to do that, you need to bring your friends to the racetrack, or your kids' friends, or whatever. And we need to show them a good time. But do you have any, so somebody wants to get into racing, and based on your experience, I want to hear what your advice would be to somebody who wants to get into the sport, but just needs some direction.
Main thing, like I try to teach you, patience. Mm-hmm. You got to have patience.
Right.
Things ain't gonna fall in your lap overnight.
Nope.
It's a lot of hard work. There's a lot of tears. It's a lot of blood and a lot of gears.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of late nights. Just be prepared for it. I guess we'll touch on more of that later on, what I'm thinking of, but that's the main advice. Just be patient, and don't be like some of these people. Don't put race cars above your family or your wife or your kids. They're number one.
Right.
Then your race car.
Mm-hmm.
That's like over there. She's the most important thing to me. While she's at work, I'll work on the car. When she comes home, I'm done.
Yeah.
I'll take a shower and I spend the rest of the night with her.
Right.
And that's the way it needs to be.
Yeah.
We don't race on her day off. Well, that's like last week. Okay, 2 weeks ago we run Sunday, right?
Right.
My car didn't get unhooked from my trailer, until Tuesday, and I didn't load my car until the other day to even start working on it. I didn't touch it for a week because I was spending time with her, and that's the way it should be. I've got, believe it or not, pork chop, I've got 3 girls.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I got 4 girls and 1 boy. I got 6 grandkids now.
Papaw's busy.
Papaw is busy. I got 2 boys and 4 girls. And I'm not going to be around forever, you know. You never know. Never days promised, you know what I'm saying? You only got so many days and no more is guaranteed.
Right.
So I want to be happy. But my kids and my grandkids know this is what makes me happy, being there with them being there.
Right.
My mom and dad's been there every night this year that I've raced, more than any other time. My mom hates it.
You know my mom hates it.
Yeah, I know your mom hates it. My mom hates it. She's afraid I'm going to get hurt or something, but she's getting into it. Becky over there, this is her first year getting into it. She's starting to feel into it a little bit, but she's scared. But I'm more liable to get hurt driving down the road, just like Fuzzy, just like anybody, than I am in that race car. And if something does happen, God forbid, in that car, I'm going to smile. I'm going to be smiling.
Yeah.
So, because I'm doing what I'm loving and my family's there watching.
Yeah.
So, that's just patience. Just be patient when you start, because it's going to take us a long trip. I've been doing it 28 years, and I'm not no Bill Mormon, Chris Bunch. I'm not Junior Horn. I'm not Clay Fuzzy Davis. I have not won a bunch of races, but I've had fun doing what I do.
Yeah.
And I've had more fun helping people like you, like Curtis Lee, like these young guns wanting to come up into it, than I have a lot of things.
Well, I did want to say on that note, do you see that that's one of the things that's a catalyst for being like, we get people into the sport. Just say we got young kids or wanting to get into it. Teenage boys want to build a car out of high school or something. You think that that's one of the most important things, is just somebody's there to be like, hey boys, what y'all got going on over here? Hey, well, maybe y'all might think about this, or might think about that. Do you think that's one of the catalysts to keeping people in the sport, is somebody there to lend a hand that maybe, and you don't want to listen to too many people. Obviously, you get too many inroads going anywhere. But I'm talking about just somebody there to, when they start out, maybe to help them along a little bit, get them pushed off the right way.
Yeah, but my way is going to be different from your way.
Right.
So like you said, you can't listen to a whole lot of people. That's why now it's my decision. But I consult.
Yeah.
There's two people I consult with. That's Big Curtis and Chad.
Yeah. That's
my two consultants. And like I said, too many people trying to tell you, and you know this from experience.
I absolutely know it.
I tell you one thing, and two other people tell you to do something different, and you go their way, and guess what happens?
And I'd come back to do it again.
Yeah, you come back and do it again. I'm saying, now next time you're going to listen to me, ain't you? So I give advice. Now what you do with it, it's your business.
Right.
But when you come back and I'm going to tell you, I told you so. I've been in this game too damn long.
Right.
Like I said, I've been running around a race car since I was 5 years old. That's a long time. But yeah, just be patient, because it ain't gonna happen overnight. And get a class that you can afford to do. Don't overstep your bounds. Don't try to think you're gonna take a $22,000 and buy you a winning open wheel. Take your $2,000, go buy you a mini stock, and have some fun.
Right.
That's the main thing, having fun. Yes, it gets to be a job, and yes, it becomes a handful and a headache, and why am I doing this? But it's fun.
Right.
It's more fun than it is anything.
Somebody told me it was fun one time, and I don't know who that was, but I'd like to go slap them because it got me into it. I'd have some fun.
What are you going to do, get a milk crate, stand on it, slap them?
That's right, I'd have to. Well, I do have to have my box, my crate to get in my car, and my car's set 7 inches off the ground.
Well, that reminds me of a story. One night somebody decided they were going to get in their car, and they hiked their leg up, and they did. The other leg come out from underneath them, and they fell on their back on the ground.
Oh, golly, I can't believe you remember that.
Yeah.
That's when my car set up 15 foot off the ground. It's because I had springs too high.
Yeah, you had springs too high, and he swung that leg up, and he did. The other leg because come up with him in the britches, and he just lay on his back on the ground looking at the stars. I said, "You can't race from down there." He said, "I know."
Let me get in here. Oh man, bruised legs sometimes, boy. Trying to get in them cars.
Mm-hmm.
That's
try to get big as I am. Trying to get in the full containment seat now.
Yeah. Well, I ain't no taller.
No, but I'm still as big.
car had to get shorter.
Yeah.
One thing, real quick, I want to touch on. You were talking about heroes earlier, and some of your the people that you loved to watch growing up. Did you ever been able to meet anybody famous from the racing world and been able to kind of rub elbows with them and talk to them?
No, not really. I bumped into Bloomquist one time there at Windy Hollow back when he was getting started. Him and Sellers and all them would come up there one year, run open wheels up there, or late models up there. I'm sorry, when they first got started.
So when they had the big wings on them.
Yeah.
Big, huge wings and scoop noses.
Yeah, and then as far as anybody famous, I met Kenny Wallace one time down in Daytona. But other than that, no, I ain't been really no way famous.
Kenny's a different dude, isn't he?
Yeah, he is. He's a character.
But he is a friend of racing.
Yes, he is. He's very big pro racing.
Yeah, he is, especially dirt racing.
Yes, especially dirt racing.
And that's cool to have a guy like that that's still, you know, we talk about Kenny Wallace, Kenny Schrader, and a lot of those guys that dip down into the, even some of the NASCAR guys still do. Kyle Larson, you know, with the sprint car stuff, and Carl Edwards used to run, you know, late models and different things. You know, it's important, I guess. That's where these guys came from. And even though that they've been up on the national stage, and I'm talking, you know, biggest tracks and the most money in the world and the biggest, fastest cars on circle track.
Look at Tony Stewart done with Eldora.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it can happen, and I would like to see some of these local knowns, the Greens, the Waltrips, step in and help out the local tracks.
Oh,
you know, step out your hometown, you know what I'm saying?
Right, because I mean, a lot of them guys ran at you know, Kentucky Motor Speedway,
Mm-hmm.
and Darrell not so much. You know, the old Ellis Speedway.
Ellis,
you may
yep.
remember Ellis, but it's all gone now. But you know, a lot of those guys, they cut their teeth right there on those high banks there at Whitesville, and even ran a little bit on dirt. And I think that's important to see those guys get back into something like that and support it.
Yeah.
Because it's still around. I mean, we're still running every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when we can. So I think that is important.
Yep, it is. It's you know, they always say, you know, buy hometown, you know, buy local, bring your local back down around here and help the locals out.
Right.
You know, you got the name. You know, your name would bring so much more by helping out. But we do what we can do because right now we feel like we are on our own down here. But that's the way it is.
Right. And I do want to go into something now. You know, I don't know if you're a big proponent of it or if you use it a lot, but it's one of the things we always like to talk about with everybody on here is social media. And you think about social media these days and how Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Vine, whatever you've got, has come along, and you know, it's inevitably it was going to get into the sport of racing. And for better or for worse, it's there, and it's going to stay there because that's the way the world's going. But how do you see social media and racing going hand in hand? Do you think it hurts more than it helps more than it hurts, or what's your opinion on it?
My opinion on social media is this. As Mama Boucher says, it's the devil. It's destroyed restaurants. It's destroyed businesses. It's destroyed love lives. It's destroyed friendships. It's destroyed racetracks. It destroys everything. One bad comment escalates, and thousands of people see it.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I do use it because I do promote my racing on it and my towboating and, you know, my kids, my grandkids, my girlfriend, you know, stuff like that. But it can be something that can be so helpful, can be so damaging in one paragraph.
Oh yeah.
They cannot be redone.
Yeah, and it does take, you know, we see that a lot, is it does take so long to dig out of a hole when something like that goes, you know, somebody gets on there inevitably, and you know from your experience, grandstand drivers or grandstand whatever, but...
Case in point, Nebo last year. It had so much negative of people being pissed off over a call or something like that. Poor Mike done everything he possibly could do to make that track. I know. I worked the track. I worked the front stretch. I was tech man. I know. But like I said, one negative thing fed into a million negative things.
Right.
And that's what and hindsight's always 20/20. I never put nothing negative on Facebook about nothing that happens to me. If I got a problem with something going on the track, I'm going to go talk to the promoter face to face, or I'm going to call him the next day. Don't put nothing on the stuff if you're pissed off that night. Don't put it on that night. Sleep on it. Think about it.
Right.
Not everybody's out to screw everybody. You know what I'm saying? We might not agree with a lot of things, but there's nothing we can. That social media ain't gonna do nothing except kill everything. It almost killed Windy Hollow.
Right.
It pretty much killed Nebo.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it will happen to other tracks. You know, one negative thing can change a whole outlook on things.
Well, and I think you're right. But you know, do you see that we can Well, I want to ask you. You mentioned Eldora, and we see Eldora for what Eldora is, and how much history is Eldora, and how they're so successful in all the events they run every year. We don't see that at Eldora too much. Excuse me. We don't see that at Eldora too much, and I don't know if Tony Stewart will come out and start thumping heads if he finds people talking bad about it on social media or not. But I guess we don't see it, and it's got to be. There's got to be questionable calls that go on there at some point. Some guys get mad or something like that. But I don't understand why we don't see it at a place like that, but we see it here locally. It is everybody just wants to jump on, be, for lack of a better term, a keyboard tough guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean, but you got to think about it like this. Not saying nothing bad, because I don't want to get ridiculed for what I'm fixing to say. But half the time the people put stuff on there who's pissed off over stuff don't know the whole story went on behind the scenes.
Exactly.
And they don't understand that they're doing more damage than they are good. Because if they put that on Facebook, people see this, then they're going to be labeled as trouble.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, 90% of the time they go hand in hand with a car that's racing. Maybe not real close, but they like that guy,
yeah,
or they dislike that guy,
right,
or whatever. This guy over here.
I'm sorry,
and
this you can't say NASCAR anymore because they bump and burn and crash. This is dirt. Mm-hmm. You're going to bump. You're going to crash. It might be on purpose. It might not. You don't know.
Right.
I've had to calm people down who got mad at a driver who hit me. I'm like, dude, it was just a racing thing.
Yeah.
Let it go. Because you know me, if it wasn't a racing thing, they'll get theirs back.
Yeah.
About 10 times worse than what they gave me. Ask Junior Horn. Well, you can't ask Junior Horn, God rest his soul. But, I told him that one night, I said, you touch my E-Mod one more time, I would wad both of them up, walk away, and go buy me another one. I said, now, can you afford to go buy you another one? And Curtis Stallings said, Junior, he'll do it, too. Yeah, you damn right I'll do it, But that's something that should be settled between the promoters and the drivers.
Right.
Not on social media.
No.
Like my mom always said, if you don't have nothing nice to say, don't say nothing at all. Because there's more negative than there is positive.
Yeah. And everybody's going to see the negative.
And everybody's going to,
worse than the positive.
And then it seems like society nowadays wants to feed on the negative.
Yep.
They don't see the positive. They don't see the effort. They don't see the trying. They just see the negative, and then they want to feed off of it. Oh, let's jump in. Let's get the shit started up. Quit, people. We're adults. If you got a problem, go talk to the person you got a problem with.
Right.
If you can't deal with it, settle it then. Promoter settled it. If you can't do it then, buy a pair of boxing gloves. I'll pay $100 on the front stretch. Y'all want to beat the hell out of each other, and we'll get it figured out.
That's right. At least we'll put on a show.
Put on a show. That's right.
Everybody's wanting to see it anyway.
I've seen that sign on Facebook many times. You fight in my pits, you get barred. Yeah. You fight on my grandstand, fight on the front stretch of boxing gloves, I'll give you $50 a piece. Yeah. Y'all get the shit straightened out.
Yeah.
Oops, sorry.
That's right.
It's just one of them things where use your head, people. It seems like everybody wants to feed off negative. No more. I don't like negative.
Well, I think one of the things you hit on is you got to think about what you do, and you got to think about what you're going to say. And in the moment, whatever argument you come up with, or negatives, or slinging bombs at somebody, it sounds great. Mm-hmm. It does sound great, and I've been on the receiving end, and I've also been on the giving end, and shouldn't have done it. Showed my butt, and I look terrible. Looking back on it now, I look like an idiot doing that.
Yeah, your ass looks ugly.
But I did. I looked like an idiot doing it, and it just made me look stupid. That's all it was. It didn't solve anything. But I think you're right. If two guys get into it on a racetrack or whatever have you, I think the best way to handle that is, and if y'all want to settle it on the boxing gloves, but load your cars up. Johnny, load your car up. Billy, you load your car up. I'm going to call you both tomorrow. We're going to meet. We're going to go to lunch. And we're going to sit down here and we'll talk about it. Because tomorrow you're going to have a clear head. You can sleep. Go on. And I think if you take a minute, take a little time.
If that's the case, Jimmy Westfield, he broke all the time trying to feed everybody.
Well, you don't have to feed him. They make him pay for it. But you guys are here. Reason we're here, you pay for it. But you get what I'm saying is you take a few minutes and you can You're going to talk clearly.
What people don't understand, especially us drivers, the kids.
Yeah.
The kids watch us and mimic us.
Yep.
When we had fan appreciation at Windy Hall the other night, I had so many kids in their gas. He loves your car. He just looks up to you, and I'm like, okay, I don't know who you are, but I appreciate you. And they got me thinking, we're role models for these kids.
Right.
They're living their dream through us because they're watching dirt fly just like I was a kid at 5 years old watching dirt fly. And you conduct yourself because of the kids. Because if the kids see you getting mad over something silly or stupid, then guess what happens? Or you try to bully.
Yeah.
Then guess what happens? The kids go to school and they think they can get away with it because their heroes, local heroes,
got away with
act like that at the track and got away with it. And social media, like I said before, is the devil. You know, I lost my little cousin almost a year ago to cyberbullying. He hung himself, 12 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm not a bully. I'll speak my mind, but I'm not going to bully you.
Yeah.
And like I said, there's just so much of that going on. And most of it is, like you said, keyboard warriors who think there's bulletproof behind the keyboard.
Yeah.
What if that happened to you?
Yeah.
What if the roles were reversed?
Yeah, I don't think people think about that.
They don't. Nobody thinks no more. They just want a knee-jerk reaction. They're pissed off at the time, and they're just on their phone. You know, they don't have to wait to get home on the computer. The phones do it now.
Yeah, 2 seconds after it happened, they're blowing it up.
Oh, yeah, blowing it up, and they're not even thinking straight. They're just still pissed off at the moment. Go home. Think about it. Mm-hmm. Sleep on it. If you got a problem, call the person that you had the problem with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Get it worked out. It's racing, guys. You're going to hit. You're going to bump. You're going to crash. You're going to tear stuff up. That's why you do it.
Right.
You know it's going to happen, so don't get mad when it happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's just inevitable. It's going to happen at some point. And again, you're right. You got to think about it because it ain't just you two drivers that's got eyes on you. It ain't him looking at you and you looking at him. It's you two looking at each other, and then 300 people looking at top of you that are going to see you showing your butt in the middle of everything.
Also,
you know
too, promoters can stop some of this stuff too. If you get caught on there putting bad stuff, you're blocked. Block them.
Yep. Block them
but
on their
a lot
page
of a lot of the things the promoters ain't doing right now is nothing against Jimmy or Richard or nobody like that. Is this? Nobody wants to come watch a race that somebody dominates all the time. Do your track rules. Tear them down. Stop this stuff. Make sure they're legal. Trying to think. Just one of them things where they can stop a lot of this stuff by, because a lot of people who complain on Facebook, if it ain't wrecking or crashing or hitting somebody, well, this car's won so many times. How many times, you're going to win for it to get tore down? Tear them down. It's simple. So promoters...
If they're legal, they're legal. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, but make sure they're legal. Don't just say, yeah, they're legal. No, make sure they're legal. I'll tear my motor down with anybody. I don't care. I know I'm legal. Mm-hmm. Let's make sure everybody else, because I'm not saying it's the mini stocks, it's the bombers, it's the cruisers, it's UMP does it. God loving Will Kerp just got busted for $30,000 and a 30-day suspension because he had 3 dope tars. You know what I'm saying? On the Hope for Harley race.
Right.
It happens. Buck down, crack down, guys. It'll stop a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, they did.
So.
Well, rolling into that, we've already broached it there. So we talk about the state of racing, and you think about the way we used to, and you've seen it go through many stages, and we talk about the heyday back in the late 90s and early 2000s when we were all racing and things. How do you see the sport now? Is it, and you kind of said a few things about social media has hurt it, and maybe tighten your tech line up and different things like that. But do you see the sport on sort of a resurgence or do you see us just kind of stalled out still?
Oh, that's a tough one. First of all, I've got to give the credit to local tracks like Cedar, like Windy, and like Rockport Raceway. Best move you ever did is bring clay.
Yep.
Redo the surface. You're showing pride back in your track. You're painting. You're God love Jimmy and Richard and Josh. Hell of a job. Now, it's kind of on a downstall as far as cars. Why? We've made it unaffordable for a lot of people. There's too much money out there right now. A lot of people can't love to do it, but can't afford to do it. I'm sorry. I don't mean no disrespect to nobody. But I watched them one night. When you got a bomber running just as fast as a Rusty Bolt, which is running just as fast as a cruiser, something's wrong, something worse. It's time to put the hammer down on these cars. Don't mind the cruisers. I don't like the idea of having to go buy $1,000, nothing against Philip Oakley, or $1,000 pair of World Product heads to run cruisers. I don't. My heads are GM turbo angle plug heads. I ain't gonna lie. They're just 202 160 straight plug or angle plug heads. GM factory. I'm not spending $1,000 to buy a World Product heads. Mm-hmm. If you want to do that, make them super streets. Let them run with the brung then. But every track I went to, these cars get faster and faster and faster. And I'm sorry, the old saying is true. Speed costs money. How fast do you want to go? Mm-hmm. Not saying Philip Oakley's cheating. I'm not, because I've seen his motor tore down. I know he's not cheating. But there's something that's got to slow these cars down, make it affordable for the people, the average common folk who want to race and have fun too, because it's out of hand. And that's just my personal opinion about it. But give everybody, all the tracks, kudos for doing what they're doing to the tracks, as far as the clay, the upkeep, stuff like that. God love them for that. All the tracks needed that.
Well, I mean, when you talk about the classes, and have you seen this? And I've seen it personally, and I would hope you have seen the same thing. But have you seen, like, the classes are kind of like a round robin. It's always a circle. That you had, when Cruiser started, that was basically Bomber, and then they got up to Rusty Bolt status, and then Rusty Bolts came in because the Cruisers got faster, and then Pure Stock got faster, and then Street Stock got faster, and then it kind of Pure Stock slowly faded out. Cruiser kind of took its place, and now we're back to Bomber again. Is it just a big circle, and it's how the classes are rotating? And do you think that, I mean, at some point we just got to be like, or we got to leave them alone? We're going to have to, if it's working, we're getting cars, tweak it here and there, but leave them alone, and not change every year. But I mean, I don't know what your opinion is on that.
Yeah, this changing every year is getting old. Because about the time you get caught up with the competition, they change something, and then there you go. You got to start all over from scratch again. I really don't know what the answer is. I wish I did, but it wouldn't matter because it's not up to me. It's up to promoters,
right,
and doing stuff like that.
And again, it's their call. I mean, we just
call.
got to play by their rules.
Yeah, but like I said, some average guy sitting in the grandstand think, God, I like to do that. I'm sorry. I can't imagine how much money I got in my car right now. Right. Between motor and car and tires and fuel and I'm still a second, third place car right now because we ain't got the bugs worked out. Well, guess what? Next year something's going to change, and we'll have to start all over from scratch once I get it figured out. But it's just one of them deals where something's got to change. And my biggest opinion is this: Richard runs on Saturday, Jimmy runs on Sunday. Both of them need to get their heads out of their ass, get together on one set of rules. They're both going to benefit on the end. If they got same set of rules for both tracks, they're going to benefit because I'm going to load up and go Saturday here, and my car's good for Sunday here. I'm not going to have to change anything.
Yeah, it might change a little setup, couple different tracks.
But you don't have to change everything because my car's going to be legal here. This is his here. If I'm a cruiser here at Windy Hollow, I'm a cruiser here at Cedar Ridge.
Right.
And
I think that's the crux of it because I mean, those guys are working so hard because Richard is working so hard down Cedar and Jimmy is working very, very hard at Windy Hollow, and they're running a weekly, and one track run more than the other, but they're running all the times that they can run, and they're trying to give us a place to race, and that's got to be said. Those guys are doing a heck of a job giving us a place to race. But again, I think you're right. We need to, and again, we don't have all the answers here, and everybody's got their own opinion of what works. But I think that one of the things is we got to get everybody on the same page. It doesn't matter who it is, and that could be Clarksville or if Chandler ever opens up, and Windy Hollow and Cedar Ridge, and we can have 4 or 5 tracks around here within an hour, 2 hours of each other that everybody can run.
Well, that's what I was saying. It's just like Windy Hollow running an alternate schedule, 2 weeks out of the month. You take a track like Nebo, run the weekends that they're not running, run the same rules. Y'all get together, run the same rules. Everybody prospers. We got a place to run there every Sunday.
Yep. Right.
I
agree with you.
And at one time I thought, well, okay, what if I told Mike Swaltz one time, I said, okay, what if we just work out a deal with Windy Hollow? If you run here, you get points here. You run to Windy Hollow, you run there, you get points there. And whoever has the best combination of points wins the 2-track championship at the end of the year. That gives incentive, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Both tracks going together and have one big champion. Nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to try that. Everybody's scared. I can understand it's a big step.
Oh, it is a big step.
But it's just one of them things where...
And lots of money involved too. I mean, I know that's one of the driving factors of any sport. I mean, we talked about that, how money creeped into the sport. And, the little man, sometimes the little man, because I'm at that point right now, I'm kind of caught in the middle. You know what I mean? The cruisers are going so far out, but I can't really go backwards, and I'm kind of caught in a sucker hole.
Well, that's what I had to do this spring. I had to make my mind up. Am I going to go cruiser, or am I going to go back down to Rusty Boat? I've already got everything for cruiser.
Yep.
I've got thousands and thousands of dollars of motors sitting in my house, short blocks for cruiser. I can't get my money back on them.
Nope.
You never will. So I've got to go this way unless I want to sell everything I got and start fresh. Screw that. I'm tired. I ain't going to do that.
Hard to go back and start again.
Right. And Gabby, my cousin Gabriel, he tried to talk me into buying his old open wheel. Run open wheel. I ain't got the money to run for them. And, to me, that's not fun. If I ain't got a chance to win, that's not fun. And that's a lot of people thinking, why do I want her and run with the same person wins every week? It's not going to be fun to run second or third. Everybody wants the equal chance of winning. And right now, the rules are so far-fetched and the money's so deep. I mean, when you got to buy $1,000 worth of pistons to be competitive, that's too much.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
I remember we used to be able to buy a rebuild kit for $200 and
have fun.
Redo the whole motor for $200.
That's like I built
$400.
That's like I built that car up there with Junior Penley. He lives in Mormon. He's been around racing, helped Wayne Hardison, Terry Whitmer, and all them. He helped me build that Buick Regal in 1 year. I spent $250 on a rebuild kit, and it was fast. I was competitive until I flipped it 7 times, but it was a fast car.
Right.
That's what's wrong with it now. Everything's too expensive, and everybody else is going with it and leaving the little guys behind. That's not right. Little guys is what made you.
That is true. And that's one of the things. Again, all we do is just we start the conversation here. That's all we do.
Yeah.
It is in absolutely no way, shape, or form bashing any track around here or any place like that. And the promoters, again, we've always give the promoters props because they're doing a great job.
Yep.
And they're giving us a place to race.
I'm just saying,
and we're still supporting it.
Yeah, I still support it. Yeah, but
yeah.
I'm just saying what I see.
Yeah.
From my perspective.
And that's the thing is everybody has a different perspective. But what we're seeing on a lot of this stuff is people are having the same perspective on a lot of different things. And I think that's a big deal because, we talk to other people around and people that have gone and go to different places and just get out of this just little geographical area here. And it's nothing for these cars. I mean, a track that'll run on a Wednesday night, weekly Wednesday night, and have 30 cars in a class. You can do it.
Mm-hmm.
They prove you can do it.
Yep.
But again, it's gonna take somebody who's willing to change.
Now, I'm not saying I'm not having fun now.
Oh yeah, it's fun.
But the most fun I had racing a car was back in the Detroit Irons days when Gail Lamb and Vault and all them, GLV Speedway, had it. I had more fun then. I'm having fun now, but I had more fun then. Back when it was simple. It's not simple no more. You got geometry, you've got angles, you've got horsepower, you've got gear ratio, you've got tire rollout. It's all Greek to a lot of people.
Yeah.
I'm 48 years old and just now starting to learn all this stuff. What a half a round he does here, and I was moving a shock in an inch does that. It's all new.
Right.
We forgot, like I said, where we started out at. We all started out on the low. Right. And we've all just moved on and forgot where we come from. Just like a lot of bosses do on towboats. They get captain's job, they forget where they come from.
Yeah. When you're just a deckhand, or
when you're just a deckhand,
turning wrenches or something.
Yeah. I don't. You know what I'm saying? I keep myself level-headed enough knowing that I didn't get here by chance. I had to work hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to have a lot of support. And I still got it. But it's just the little people that's getting hard. That's why I don't mind helping people when I can.
Right.
But I know I can't split a bill for a 4-car team, even though I do have my car, Curtis's car, Curtis Lee's car, and half of Matt Browning's car. I do got 4 cars, but I don't put all my money in their cars.
Yeah.
We all work together.
Yeah.
So I just tell Matt and then what they need, and then first of the year we had problems with engines where we got bad gas. Can't say where we got it at, but it cost us 2 motors. There's $3,000 gone.
Oh yeah.
Just on short blocks. So
you get in a hole in a hurry, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and so it don't take long. And promoters ain't thinking about that, especially like if these bombers let them run something that's going to be beneficial to save their engine. You know what I'm saying? Because that's their life. Some people build one motor for a whole season, and if it lasts one race, they're done.
Right.
I've been there, done that.
You have been there. I've been there when you did it. I
Yep.
mean, but you put a lot of time and money, and got a motor built. And I remember going over to Romas's shop and with you, and we were ready to go, and probably 2 or 3 races in, and it just happens. It's mechanical. Anything can fail at any time, and you lost a motor and you were done.
Yeah,
I mean, and
that
you're
was
like,
it.
I can't do no more this year. That's it. We're gonna have to wait till next year.
Yep.
And it's a sucky thing.
And that's just like getting these sponsors and stuff. These guys that went out and got money from these guys and stuff, and pretty much take the money and run, which makes it harder for. I know I don't run a full schedule, but I got some damn good sponsors who still believe in me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I like to see more sponsors get out, but people have got burnt in these businesses over the years. Right. People go out there to take their money and not even show a car. You know what I'm saying? I can understand that. But the community itself, Davis County, Hopkins County, and Ohio, has got to stand up for these local tracks. They've got to help out to keep their business going, because they don't realize how much revenue a track can bring in every weekend. That's like us. When we get done racing at Windy Hollow, we go to Denny's. That's revenue.
Yep.
And I'm not the only one. Josh Harris goes there.
But pick a town. Any town USA.
Yeah.
We go to Nebo and then get done, go to the Huddle House or McDonald's or whatever, and you're spending a little bit more, in their community.
And you're stopping and getting gas and drinks and cigarettes, chewing tobacco, whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Kids, don't smoke and don't chew tobacco.
Yeah, don't smoke, don't chew tobacco. But you know what I'm saying? We're rednecks. It happens.
Nah, you are.
Yeah, I am a big redneck. But
Wes is.
Anyway, but it brings in revenue. And, show some initiative. Say, one of my sponsors is Southern Outdoors. Mark Malloy and them over in Livermore. If I'd say, or Danny Sexton at the Asylum Tattoo, I seen your car over at Windy Hollow. You did? Have you seen it? Well, here's 20% off, or here's a can koozie, or here's a T-shirt.
Mm-hmm.
That's bringing in. They're seeing the cars, guys. They're bringing in business. Or say you seen. Come in to Danny Sexton's Asylum Tattoo Parlor and say you seen tell me what place Chris Anderson finished Sunday at Windy Hollow and get 10% off your tattoo. There you go. You know what I'm saying?
Just a little something.
Just a little something.
Don't have to break your pockets or
right.
nothing, just something.
Just a little something. You don't have to, don't have to kill yourself, but it's going to help out, guys. And that's what I'm saying. These sponsors need to kick in and do stuff like that. That's why I'm trying to keep on telling Danny and Mark and all. Let's do something special. That's just like this weekend for the race, memorial race this weekend. Danny's done gave up a $100 tattoo. He's going to donate to the silent auction. So it's just one of them deals where let's help out. And when it comes to benefits, me, I'm all about the benefits.
Oh yeah.
I done gave Billy Egler $100 to help buy meat for the sale in August.
Right, for the Henry sale.
Yeah,
that going on.
Yeah.
Well, and you're right, because I think, it's not just about sponsors. And the school of thought on sponsors is, hey, I come to your business, you give me money, I race car. I think that's the perception of a sponsor. I think that was sponsors back in the 90s and maybe the early 2000s. It's almost 2020, and I think a sponsor these days, when you think about that, is not necessarily just a guy pulling a grand out of his pocket, throwing it on your hood and being like, go race for the season. It's not just that. Maybe he gives you $100. Maybe he gives you $200. All right, we get you $200 to get you started out, blah, 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 blah. And a couple months, we're going to hook you up with some T-shirts to give out to the kids, or where you're going to, you can do this, raffle them off for your race team or something. You know what I'm saying? Product. There's so much more a sponsor can be than just a wallet.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And racers, on the other hand, is so much more you can be than just a DACB, and everybody will know what that means. And just be a champion for their business, because at the end of the day, you're their mouthpiece. You can talk to a demographic maybe that they don't get to talk to all the time.
Yeah.
And it works hand in hand.
Well,
and I think it's important.
Speaking of sponsorships, while I'm on here, I'm going to tell you right now, I got to thank Auto Truck and Trailer in Owensboro.
Yes.
I got to thank Southern Outdoors in Livermore. I got to thank Ruttin and Strutting Outdoors in Owensboro. And I got to thank the Asylum Tattoo Parlor in Owensboro. The key factor here is I'm McLean County.
Mm-hmm.
I've got one McLean County business. That's it. Everything else I've got Davis County.
Right.
I want to see some more McLean County businesses kick in.
Right.
It don't break your bank. I'll get you a sticker for $100. I buy a tar. Well, almost buy you a tar.
Almost.
Almost, but
Remember we could buy 2 tires for $100?
Yeah,
3 tires?
Yeah, but people's got to take pride in their stuff again. The tracks are starting to take pride in the tracks. Now it's time for people to buck up, suck up, quit the social media BS, support your local dirt tracks, your local track, period.
No, asphalt tracks, drag strip.
It don't matter what, just support it. And if you got something bad to say, keep it to yourself or go talk to somebody about it.
Yeah.
And
get in a truck on a drive home, vent to your buddy, your wife, or something, and get it out of your system and be done with it.
Oh gosh, she's done vented me several times on the way home because I touched somebody or they touched me. So, oh God, I thought my train of thought was.
He's talking about sponsors.
Yeah, and.
Well, I think you're right with McLean County, because I think McLean County is one of those things where they're stuck between 2 tracks. You got Windy Hollow, one side of them. You got, Nebo, West Kentucky Speedway's on the other side of them. And then just down the road, not very far away, depending on how you drive, Clarksville Speedway.
And Morgantown.
Paducah. It's one of those things where you can have places, and I think McLean County is one of those places that's geographically in between all those places.
That's got a rich dirt racing history.
Right.
That's the bad part about it. You got a hell of a dirt racing history there. And, it's not just me. You got Joe Harden, You got Gail Lamb and Chad, you know, it keeps on going. You had the Bays boys, even though that's technically Muhlenberg County. But,
well, the Revlett, Teddy Revlett.
You got Teddy. I just went and seen him the other day and talked to him for a
Hunter
while.
Mosey.
Hunter Mosey, Alex Love. You got a lot of McLean County talent there. I'm not saying me. I'd love to have you. But there's a lot of McLean County that gets small businesses going back, you know. But that's about all I got to say about that. But
all right, Forrest, listen.
Yeah.
But, no, you're doing a great job, Chris, and everybody has an opinion. Everybody has stuff that they think about. And you sit in the garage, you're working on your car, and you have these thoughts, and a lot of racers do. And a lot of people are afraid to speak their mind, but I think if we do it in a tactful way and not come at these tracks crazy, that's rule number one. Do not go to a promoter and chew them up one side and down the other. A, they're not going to listen to you. And it's just you're just going to kill the conversation right there. But B, if you can approach it and say, did you guys ever think about this? Maybe just put a little idea in their head. Maybe a track promoter will be laying in bed one night and be like, you know what, that guy told me about this, you know, a while back, and you know, he's not too far. I think something like that could work. We need to look into it a little bit, but it might work. And that's how ideas and changes are born. It's not by going crazy. And don't change everything overnight, because you're right. Because like I said, you start listening to too many people, you know what happens. But if you can get these ideas, and I think we're getting several people, almost every single show, and Wes can attest to this too, is that a lot of people are saying the same thing. We're far apart on rules. We're far apart on money. We got to do something to help the sport. Anything we can do to help the sport. That's what we need to start trying to do.
Yeah, because right now it's like two brothers fighting in the backyard. Nothing's getting accomplished.
Right.
So it's like, oh, I'm not giving you this because this will make you better than me. No, sit down and act like adults.
Humble yourself.
Humble yourself.
I mean?
Like I said, I just want to see some of these younger people get into it. Some of the people who can't afford a cruiser or a rusty boat get into it. There's a lot of things that. Like the old saying on Facebook, if I run a track.
Oh yeah. Well, we talked about that a little bit, and I wanted to bring that back up real quick. Is we talked about high banks, high bumps, whatever you want to call it, but it's high banks, and again, it was a good idea, and it's something that we hadn't had in this area in a long time. And a lot of people, you've heard talk about it for years. People like, if I ran a track, man, I'd build me a track. Well, ain't nobody really got the money to build a track. I get that, but it's not so far-fetched of an idea. And some guys were willing to try it, and they tried it, and it ran. And it was, and I always heard that it was actually improving, and then it just got cut short. And I think giving up on it too quick, or people trying to,
I think it pretty much got, from what I understand, and I don't quote me on this, I think it pretty much just got bought out.
Bought out to shut it down or something.
Yeah. Pretty much. Just like Nebo got tried to last year. Let's buy it out and shut her down to get more cars.
Yeah.
If that's what the case was. That's just what the rumors were. Right. But believe it or not, before my granddad passed away in the 80s, he actually was going to build a track across the road from my house down there in the Bottoms. He had his $100,000, and he had a partner who's going to back him up before he got colon cancer and sick and died. But it's just one of them deals where hindsight's 20/20 and what if.
Oh yeah.
And one of these days, if people don't straighten their stuff up,
it'll all be what if.
It'll all be what if, because they're going to say, damn, what if I hadn't done that? And what if it caused the track to close down? Or what if I done this, maybe change something? Guys, it can happen in an instant. Look at Kentucky Lake.
Yeah.
No choice. They're gone.
Yeah. And those guys had sunk a lot of money into it, bringing big series. We're going to, resurrect the old Bluegrass 50 and all that stuff. And this stuff's been around for years. And again, it just at the blink of an eye,
millions of dollars just taken away from them just like that.
Oh yeah, for nothing.
For nothing.
And it's sitting there. Yep. Track's still there.
Yep.
Anybody wants to drive by it, you can see the track. The grandstands and the pit tower and all that stuff's gone, but that's the thing. It's politics, and we got to be careful. We got to be super careful that doesn't happen to our local racetracks.
Right, and it can happen in an instant. That's what I'm saying. Wendy Holla has got the notoriety.
Notoriety?
Yeah, notoriety. And it should be treated as such because of the simple fact that as old as it is, it's a landmark.
It is a landmark.
And it should be treated like a landmark, and it should be protected because anybody can go in there and buy this out and say, no, we're turning it down, making cropland out of it. The barn's already gone.
Yep.
The old barn's gone, which that's kind of a good thing.
Well, we got some pit spots now.
Yeah, it got some more pit spots, and people can't hide in there no more. But
yeah, that's true.
But that's just my opinion on it, and that's just like anybody else. I got my opinion. That's my opinion. I don't run a track. I don't see what's behind the scenes. I help out when I can, but yeah, I think some things need to change, or if not, we're not going to have nothing.
Right. Well, Chris, buddy, I mean, we've had a great conversation. It's been great sitting and talk to you. We haven't done this for a long time, and now that our conversation is down on tape, we'll always have it. You're welcome back at the show anytime. To share more opinions, come by, just talk and shoot the mess with us. We're hoping to start getting, and Wes has always had this idea, we're starting to get more equipment so we can have more people on, and we'd love to have you back for a round robin and several people around just to bounce ideas and opinions. And
it'd be cool just to sit around and get about 4 or 5 drivers and have a round table meeting one night.
And just lob bombs at each other if you want to, or tell stories. And
it's not bombs, it's just, that or to get all the promoters here one night and let them sit here and talk.
Yeah, I don't know about that. We might have to put up fences, get guards, and everything else. No, it'd be all right. No, it's going to be fine. We're trying to help out any way we can for all the promoters.
And I hope I didn't hurt nothing more than what I said. But like I said, people, this is just my opinion. I've been around this sport since I was 5, which is 43 years.
Well, the good thing about it is you're going to see Chris Anderson in that zero car, bringing that thing to the track, no matter what your opinion is, and you got your race car, you're going to come and race, and when you can't race, you're going to be in those grandstands talking to people and things like that. You're supporting the track, and that's the main thing.
Well, yeah,
support the track, support the sponsors.
Yep.
So
and
just
like I said, I got 3 other cars.
Yeah.
Besides my 2 other cars besides mine. We're not going to race the 4th car this year because it's already too late in the season. It's still a pretty car, so put it up, save it for next year.
Yeah, might as well. So.
But I appreciate it. I appreciate what y'all do. I appreciate what Blake and them do at the radio show.
Absolutely. People need to appreciate it too.
Yeah, and because that's the first time in a long time I've actually went to a radio show Monday night and not be able to talk because he's fully packed.
All right.
So that was kind of a wasted trip, but got some food out of the deal. But
But you got to see the radio show, and you were there.
Yeah.
You were in attendance, and that means a lot to Blake too, to have a lot of people, even though everybody can't talk. It's good to have them there to support, and we appreciate you doing that on behalf of Blake. I know he appreciates.
Oh
it.
Yeah, it's just one of them deals where it's like I told her. I said, this is one thing that I feel privileged on doing. I feel like I'm actually going to accomplish something now because I've never done nothing like this before, and to get asked to do this, it's kind of amazing to me to come from what I did back in the 90s up to now, and now I'm sitting here across the table talking racing for almost 2 hours.
Right.
And got to speak my mind and my opinions and stuff, and then, I feel like I've actually accomplished something, Pork Chop. So.
Well, we think you have accomplished things, and I know I've been around personally for some of your career. Some of the older stuff, obviously, I wasn't there, but I've got to see you race. I've been able to help on your cars. We've cussed each other. We've hugged each other. It's been a fun ride, and I'm so happy that you got to come on and talk. And never would I have thought, way back when. You think about way back when I started. We never would have thought about a podcast and, sitting around talking. This is all garage talk. This is stuff we would have talked about.
This was your daddy's barn talk.
That's right.
Just talking around, setting your timing on your car in your daddy's barn,
Yeah, just sitting there talking racing.
Yep.
So, again, man, we appreciate it. We're welcome back anytime. Hopefully we're going to get those round robins going and you can sit down with some more guys and tell them stories, man. That's the thing. And get that history out there.
I'll see if I can't help you get Gail Lamb. I think Gail Lamb would be a good one to talk to, and I think Junior Bays would be a good one to bring over here.
I think Junior would absolutely be a fun episode.
I think I'll see what I can do to help you get that out to you.
Well, Chris, appreciate it, buddy, and we welcome you back on any time, and we appreciate you hearing your stories.
And I appreciate how y'all having me.
All right. We'll be right back after the break to close this episode out.
Hi, it's Blake Smith, the voice of Regional Motorsports Power Hour, live on 102.7 WLME The Game and also Country Classics WBIO and WKCM. Join me each and every Monday night as we broadcast live from 7 to 8:30 p.m. live from Maloney's Pizza and Wings on Highway 54 in Owensboro. We will discuss the latest news in local, regional, and national racing, plus talk to all your favorite local racing personalities. Join us for Regional Motorsports Power Hour live every Monday from April through September on 102.7 The Game and simulcast on WBIO and WKCM Country Classics.
Let's face it, we love racing and we need to keep those race machines in tip-top shape to stay competitive. That's why we rely on Mach 5 race cars and parts. Located at 2035 West 2nd Street in Owensboro, Kentucky. They specialize in stock cars, but you'll find all the parts you need for your racing go-karts as well. They are your go-to experts for parts, wheels, tires, fuel, and a wide array of other items to keep you on the track. They have hundreds of parts in stock and can special order thousands of others. Give John Hayden a call today at 270-240-5587.
And we're back from the break there. We've closed this episode out, man, and we've had another great episode. I knew it would be whenever we talked to Chris and had him come on the show. And, man, you know, getting to catch up with him was special for me. But, you know, it's, again, another guy that you got to meet in the racing world and, you know, being my friend and my partner here on the podcast. It's pretty cool to see somebody that, you know, when my career got started.
Yeah, he's a. We briefly crossed paths when I went out to Windy Hollow to do the Quick Six, and he mostly just asked me where you were, and told him you were working, and here he was sitting down in front of us, you know, telling his story. So it was pretty cool.
Well, they you know, Chris has always been a friend of mine, and again, you know, we had our paths kind of got wide there for a while. But Chris can't always, he understands, you know, working and things like that because Chris, you know, he's gone 6 months out of the year. And when you think about it that way, Chris is literally gone every other month on the towboats.
Right.
And he's working the barges and towing those barges up and down the Mississippi, Ohio, and all kinds of stuff. So he gets to see a lot of stuff. And, you know, it does put a damper on his racing, and I totally get that. Being off, you know, somebody that's being off every other month, you know, I kind of feel his pain.
He should put his car on the boat, and when he pulls into a port somewhere,
Try to go race.
Find a dirt track.
That would be pretty good. You know, we should have told him that.
Yeah. I'm sure he's never thought of that idea.
Yeah, it probably.
Never.
Never is. Crossed his mind, yeah. Wonder what they would do if you, like, loaded your race car and all your crap up on there, like your tires and your fuel and everything, and then, like, hauled the barge and then pulled the barge into the port and, you know, take it off and go race.
Who's the captain now?
Yeah, who's the captain now, homie? I'm the driver.
But I was making the Tom Cruise movie.
No, I know. I get
Somalia Pirates. But no, he's a captain.
I don't think Chris is a Somali pirate.
On
the Ohio River with the barge. No, man. You know, I get what you're saying. That'd be a pretty cool idea, though.
Yeah.
You know, that'd be a cool thing, man. Pull into Mississippi, you know, wherever, and find a dirt track.
I think I'm sure there's probably some near the river.
I'm pretty sure there's probably some in Mississippi, Alabama,
maybe
Tennessee, wherever, you know.
Maybe.
But no, really, man, we digress. But it was an awesome conversation, and Chris, you know, and I know he was kind of worried about, you know, having opinions and things like that. Everybody's got opinions, and I don't think that they're bad opinions. I'm not saying his in particular, anybody's. And he expressed those opinions, and I think it's one of those things where somebody's looking at it from new eyes. And it's good that he can come on here and express those opinions and get people thinking.
And I think but you know, in the same breath, though, we're hearing again similar opinions to what other people have discussed. And I think, you know, we've talked about it over and over and over again. One person is an outlier, multiple people are the majority. So it's just getting to a point to where, you know, eventually something's got to give. Yeah, whether that be for the good or the bad, but, you know, whether it's social media or, you know, rules or car counts or whatever, you know, we do want to make this sport as big as it can be, and we want to be part of helping usher in that greatness that this sport is. And, you know, I just think that we can help, you know, direct people to those
Well, things. I mean, like I said, I talk about it. And we've talked about it, and Chris knows. He was there. And several of our guests that we've had. It used to be a big thing. And it can be a big thing again. And again, you know, it goes through ebbs and flows. It's like anything in life. It goes through ebbs and flows. Right now, hopefully we're getting back on a flow. You know what I mean? Not an ebb. And I think it can be great. It might not be where it once was. It might be great for the time it is now.
Well, and I know I've watching you work with your car, and you struggle with your car, and the frustration that washes over you when a situation happens that you can't fix immediately. I see the fun go out of you.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing that we're hearing much more lately is don't matter what you're doing as long as you're having fun. So I think we just have to help the people that we interact with, the people who make the decisions, the people who want to put their cars on the tracks. Maybe it's our responsibility to help them find the fun again.
Right, and I think you're exactly right.
So that's something, and that's not that's a burden that I'm willing to shoulder. And if that's making an ass of myself in the pits, doing interviews or helping people laugh and forget the fact that they didn't finish that heat race or whatever, then maybe that's what we do.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's something.
It is something. But again, this whole thing, this whole show, is the betterment of the sport, of motorsports / racing.
True.
And that's what we're here for. We've said this 100 million times, and we'll say it 100 million more times. That's what we're here for. We're here to improve the sport, be it whatever we have to do.
Mm-hmm.
And he had an idea, get all the promoters in and a round table. I just don't know how to go at this point. But
I do own a pair of boxing gloves that I will bring for that episode.
Well, that's the thing. We don't need any boxing. We need calm, cool heads. Seriously though, we need calm, cool heads, and we need dialogue. But everybody needs to be open-minded, and that's not just dirt circle track racing. It's anything.
Well, and I think we just have to again start the conversation, help guide the conversation to a productive end, and help them follow up with the ideas. Help them stay accountable. Help them. If there's things they need, help find people that can make those things happen. I think that's not too hard, and that will probably be part of the commitment that I put out going forward as a member of the racing community. Right. Since I don't actually drive.
Well, you never know.
I was promised that there may be a scrapper car, that I could get in and drive around the track.
That's true.
It happened. I heard it. Words.
I think it'd be a good deal.
I'd probably be scared.
Nah. Once you mash that gas going in the corners, you'll be fine. It only takes one time, man. You'll be hooked, I'm telling you.
And I just have to turn left, right?
Nope. Depending on what you're doing. Depending on where you're racing.
It's just...
Scrappers at Wendy Hall, yes, you're turning left. Scrappers at KMS, you're turning left and right.
It's just left turns. That's
it is not, yeah, that's what it is, buddy.
That's as easy as it is.
Left turns. No. Speaking of left turn media.
Rich Corbett.
Yeah, cool guy.
We
hope to work with him a little bit later.
We have sat down. Well, I haven't.
I have.
I missed the meeting, but we've sat down and talked to him about doing some work with him in the future, and maybe expanding the media empire in this area to include his product as well.
Yeah.
So that'd be cool.
Well, again, we were talking about Owensboro-Davis County Motorsports Media. And not that we're our own company or anything like that, but we're kind of billing ourselves a little bit like that, us and Regional Motorsports Power Hour, and hope to incorporate more people and get more, mainstream media coverage of our sport locally here.
Well, and that's there's a new news outlet, the Owensboro Times, and they actually covered the KMS racing this week. They had a small story about the results. So hopefully we can continue helping direct them and guide them into covering more racing, because it is a local sport.
I know they're definitely interested in here.
Yep.
I don't know that they really want to hear about outside of this town, which perfectly fine. Because we've got a hotbed of racing action that goes on here,
it's true.
And I think it's worth covering. So,
I agree.
Again, moving forward, maybe that'll be something that we can explore. So,
and Chris had a really cool idea that he said about sponsors, and I know it is the racer's responsibility to represent those sponsors well, and make sure that the sponsors feel taken care of. But I think the sponsors have a responsibility beyond just how, handing over a check.
Oh, yeah.
And I actually hadn't heard anyone say it out loud. But maybe hold some of those sponsors accountable. Bring them more into the fold of the racing community. And I think that may help too.
Yes. I mean, sponsors, you're right. Sponsors have an obligation. Not just, if you're going to give money, if you're going to be a sponsor, you kind of obligate yourself to that racer or group of racers, just whatever, you're going to do with your monetary donation. But I think you do have a responsibility to do as much as you can, but the racer has a responsibility to do as much as they can.
Sure, but so if I'm a racer and I go to, Dr. Tom's office and Dr. Tom decides to sponsor my car, then, I take his money and I get his sticker on my car and I thank him on the radio show and everything. But as a racer, why not buy a general admission pass and take it over to Dr. Tom and say, hey, why don't you come see what your money's paying for?
Right.
Why don't you buy two, bring your wife, bring your husband, bring whoever, bring somebody in and see what you've paid for.
Right, absolutely. See that product on the track, because we do see that a lot. Sponsors will get themselves on cars and things like that, and they don't go to the races. I mean, and I know that while it's up to the driver to maybe make sure that car is at their business or where they want it, or send them pictures and post about them on Facebook or wherever. I think that's important, but I think it's also important too that the driver or the promoter, not really the promoter, the sponsor or not the sponsoree, the sponsee, is that how it's said? But the sponsor should actually come to the track and hang out in the pits, man. Hang out and talk about things and have a good time. And on the driver's side of that, we were talking about this at length. Make sure you conduct yourself in a professional manner.
Absolutely.
Because especially you never know who's looking, and that could be a potential sponsor as well.
But I think that, and now that you say that out loud, if you work for an organization and that organization has a uniform, and you wear that uniform out to a bar and you get stupid drunk, you're still wearing that uniform, therefore you're still representing that company you work for. So if you're driving a car sponsored by Dr. Tom, you're representing his business as well. So if you're out being a jerk...
Wasn't he a Muppet?
Maybe. I don't know. I just made it up. Dr. Teeth.
Yeah, Dr. Teeth.
But he might be a dentist. But if you're driving for him, you're representing his business as well, because he's put his belief in you. So
yeah,
behave like an adult with sense.
Absolutely. Because again, you never know who's watching.
True.
And not only may your sponsor be watching, potential sponsors may be watching. It's hand in hand. So
absolutely.
We won't get into that too much more because you guys know how to act, don't you? Do you guys know how to act?
Now that there's two water hoses.
Yeah, now they know how to act because there's two water hoses.
Right.
Crisis averted.
Absolutely.
Right. Anyway, but again, put a button on this one. Great show. Loved sitting down and talking with Chris and again, guys, we're going to get into some of these roundtables. We need to do that sooner than later. I mean, I think we might have to get one more microphone, maybe two, something like that. Very cheap investment. So if you guys would like to help out with that, you can certainly become a sponsor of the podcast. It's very, very affordable. Super affordable.
Well, and we've alluded, and
cheaper than your light bill.
I'm not going to get off into a ditch about this, but we've alluded in the past how affordable it is. So here, guys, I'm just going to lay it out quickly. We record 4 episodes of this show a month. We then record as many episodes of the Quick Six as we can. We have multiple social media outlets, which you've seen. For $20 a month, and this is my telethon pitch, my PBS pitch. For $20 a month, that gets you a sponsor on our program. That is the cheapest advertising that you're going to get anywhere. And you're going to get mentioned 4 times a month on the podcast. You're going to get mentioned on the Quick Six. You're going to get mentioned on our Facebook page, on our Instagram page. It's all over the place. So, maybe skip, a latte or two if you drink lattes.
Yeah.
So
I drink them.
I'm just saying,
Frappuccino.
It is that cheap.
It is cheap. It's very affordable, and Pre-roll, post-roll, $20. You want to get in the meat. You want to be the meat in the sandwich of where the guest is.
$30.
$30. $30 a month. As many or as few as you like. We welcome it all. We're fine with it.
And I think
we'll
you
promote
guys
the heck out of your business.
I think you guys have noticed an upswing in the quality of the programming. I think you've noticed an upswing of the quality of the recording, and that comes out of our pocket or sponsorship money.
Yep.
So if you want to continue to see this grow and be the thing you want it to be, help us out. So that
we're not. I mean, we're not bleeding hearts, and but the thing,
no,
it just helps. And again, guys, you don't have to. We'd love you to. We're not gonna, heist you in the parking lot. If you would like to do that, it's totally up to you. It's your money. We'd love to have it. We'd love to have some more equipment, and we'd love to keep the show going. We're gonna do it either way. It just takes longer to do it that way. So.
That being said,
yeah, we're done with that.
Currently, we have Lori Kimball with Home Realty.
Yep.
We have High Octane Racewear and Apparel, and we have Willie's Carb and Dino Shop for our podcast sponsors.
Yep.
Other sponsors, Nathan.
Mach 5 Race Cars, Parts and Carts, Fairview IT Management, Martin's Towing Recovery, Chad's Barbershop, Glenstone Construction, Slingshot Media Group, Red Star Graphics. We thank all those sponsors for being a part of our race team and helping out when they can, where they can, how they can, and we appreciate it.
We do. Every day.
All day, day.
Yep.
That's all I'm saying. If you want to connect with us, you can do so on Facebook, Conway Racing Team. You can also go to the Bent Fender Podcast Facebook page. You can connect with us there. By all means, go do that. Like the page, share it. Get on there and talk to us and just have a conversation. If you want to talk about motorsports, we'll talk to you on Facebook.
We do. We've done it often.
Yes, and you can see by our times, we are minutes in response, not hours, not usually an hour, usually a couple hours. We are minutes in responses, so it's easy for us to talk to you. You can find us on Twitter at Conway Race Team, Instagram Conway Racing. Our website's www.conwayracingteam.com, also thebentfenderpodcast.com. You can find us, for you Apple folks, iTunes. You find us on Google Play for the Android folks, Podcast Addict, Podbean.com, Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, and YouTube.
It's a true story.
YouTube.
True story.
They tube, YouTube.
So
we all tube.
We can't do it without you guys. We don't want to do it without you guys, because then it would just be me and Nathan talking into an empty void, and we don't want that. We want interaction. We want to continue to do this for you guys and make it the best we can. And every download that y'all do, and I keep a very close track of how the numbers are on the show, and it makes me just freaking happy to see that we are on episode 23, and we are over 2,000 downloads. So we can't do it without you. We keep continuing to do what you do, and yeah.
That's over 2,200 downloads.
Something like that. It's a big number.
It's climbing.
It is.
It's climbing every week. And enjoy if you guys are enjoying them, and we hope that you are, the Quick Six stuff we're doing, Soapbox Derby, Round Track. Hopefully we're going to monster trucks, but it became its own episode, which was awesome.
Yep.
It's cool stuff, man. I mean, it's all good stuff. Schedule's got to allow us to do stuff, but when we can do it, man, it's magic, I believe.
It is.
And it can only help. And I fully believe that.
I agree.
And so, again, we thank everybody. Make sure you go support our buddy, Blake Smith, Regional Motorsports Power Hour, Maloney's in Owensboro, every Monday night, April through September, 7 to 8:30. Find them on 102.7 The Game and 94.7 WBIO and all the Cromwell stations. So, again, support Blake. Blake supports us. We support him. We have fun doing things together.
We do.
We are doing big things together.
We are.
I tease it every show, man. I can't wait till November. That's all I'm going to tell you.
Well, I'll go one better. November 3rd.
Yep. ... To be continued.
November 3rd. Because I think they've already turned the podcast off at this point in time.
No.
So
no,
they didn't hear that.
November the 3rd.
remember the 3rd of November.
Yes.
I'm sorry, that was me being a nerd.
It's going to be awesome, man.
It is.
So anyway, we'll quit, and not for good, just this episode. You can't get rid of us that easy.
Nope.
We want to thank Chris Anderson for coming on, and a friend of mine, and had a great talk with him. We look forward to having him back soon. We look forward to have all our guests back at some point to check in with us. Tell us how they're doing.
Yep.
And again, you guys go on there. Tell us, connect with us. Tell us who you want to hear.
Yep.
Tell us how we can get a hold of them.
Give me a new nickname.
That's right. So until next week, I got Wes the Tugboat Lou Allen, and you know why it makes sense now. And I'm Nathan Porkchop Conway, and we'll see you next time.
You've been listening to the best up-and-coming motorsports podcast on the internet. Tune in next week to see who we're trading paint with on the Bent Fender Podcast.